Ms. Drivdahl, since you've joined us today, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're at oral communications. The public may speak on any item not on the printed agenda. No action may be taken by the board. Is there anyone who likes to speak here at the public forum?
Good morning to the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors and Maureen and Mr. Drivdahl there. I come today to remind all of you that Independence Day is July 4th. And I received a copy of the Declaration of Independence from a group back east called the Heritage Foundation. This is a college that does not receive any money from any government agency. All of its funds are private individuals that believe strongly in our Constitution, that they so strongly in our Constitution that they send their children to this college to create more minds and hearts that will uphold and preserve a Constitution, which, by the way, each one of you in your job swore to uphold. Our state and federal governments have become bodies of bureaucrats that are not accountable to we the people. The Heritage Foundation has sent thousands of copies of these proclamations all over our country to patriots free of charge, and strongly insist that we read them throughout our country on July 4th. And I've received affirmation to read the first paragraph. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare these causes which impel them to the separation. I suggest that that we truly and strongly think about these words on July 4th, as well as this coming year. And I know that all of you strongly believe in these beliefs, and I hope that you will carry forth and read this declaration to as many people on July 4th as is possible. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment?
Hi, my name is Gary Newbert. I'm a resident of Columbia. I'm the president of Columbia Chamber of Commerce, and I really appreciate the opportunity to address the board. I'd like to make an announcement that this Thursday, July 4th, since 1852, Columbia will be hosting the glorious 4th of July parade with many festivities. The Motherlode Brass and Reed Band will be playing patriotic music about 1:15. At high noon, the parade in Columbia will commence. District 5 Supervisor Carl Rodefer will be the parade MC, and Board Chairman Randy Hanvelt will provide some pre-parade patriotic readings along the line of what Kathy mentioned. So we appreciate the opportunity to make that announcement, and we hope that everybody will attend. We heard it's only going to be about 95 degrees in Columbia. There's a lot of shade, so we hope everybody comes out. Thank you very much.
You have air conditioning that the rest of us don't have.
Good morning, Chairman Hanfeld, members of the board, Todd Stolp, Health Officer. And just to follow up, I trust Columbia will have plenty of ice water and other drinks, and maybe even a little ice cream. I'm here to bring up the issues related to the heat wave that we're currently experiencing. You may or may not be aware that we have 3 cooling stations established throughout the county that have been utilized. We have one located today at St. Patrick's. We have another at the Enrichment Center behind the old hospital, Tuolumne General, and a third at the Groveland Community Center. Tomorrow, the locations will change. We'll have one cooling station at the Sonora Elementary School, another at the Library Community Building behind the library in Groveland, and finally, the Enrichment Center will continue to have a cooling station. We've been seeing anywhere from 8 to 10 visitors to those locations. As the heat wave continues, we expect to see more. We did have some tourists that were stranded with an automobile that was not operating and took important use of the Groveland Community Station, the cooling station. So it has been valuable. We do expect the temperatures to continue to be in the range of 105 to 106, although the National Weather Service has had difficulty with predictions, and it should taper off by Friday, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. We want the public to be aware of two important phone numbers. One phone number is for transportation. If a person has difficulty gaining access to one of the cooling stations, they should call 532-0404 to reach transportation options. One more time, that's 532-0404, of course, in the 209 area code. The second number is for the community information line, where if there are power outages that could pose another problem for the community, we would convey further information and or other locations for cooling stations. The community information line phone number is 533-6392. One more time, that's 533-6392. The Emergency Operations Center and the Office of Emergency Services here is meeting regularly, and a multifactorial representation throughout the community involving the resources. Red Cross has been critical in putting these plans together. So we hope that the community makes use of these resources during this hot weather. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during open communication?
Josh White, Tuolumne County Fire Warden, CAL FIRE Unit Chief for TCU. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there's been a few changes at the Tuolumne County Fire Department that I wanted to daylight and make you all aware. Just recently, as of yesterday, Assistant County Fire Warden Paul Spear accepted a position as the Assistant Chief for Baseline Camp. So I was hoping you would join me in thanking Chief Spear for his 3 years of service to the Tuolumne County Fire Department.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't get one of those, but
Now rest assured, he's still going to stay relatively local, so we can pick on him all we want.
I'd miss it if we couldn't.
Good. So to that end, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the new Assistant County Fire Warden, Roy Evans.
Good morning. Like Chief Josh White said, my name is Roy Evans. I started my fire service career in Tuolumne County in 1983. During that time, I spent 9 years at Mona Village Station, where my primary responsibilities were the county fire budget. In 2008, I promoted to battalion chief and moved to Madera County. And again, my primary responsibilities were the county fire budget, the volunteer programs, and grant programs. I returned to Tuolumne County in 2010 as the BC in charge of training, and then in 2012 promoted to assistant chief, North Division Operations in Vallecito Camp. So I think I've got a good variety of experience that I can lend to the board, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Welcome home.
Thanks. Any questions?
Let me just say welcome. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And to you, Mr. Spear, we want to say thank you, and we wish you well in the new assignment, but don't be a stranger. We'll miss you. Thanks so much.
All right.
Anybody else? Oral communications. Well, the firemen being here reminds us that our country lost 19 young men this week. Many of them from California, I understand. We take these guys for granted. They're out there putting themselves on the line every day, and they never know what's going to happen. So, and I also am reminded that just a few days ago, San Luis Obispo County, the chairman of the board, passed unexpectedly, and he's a good friend of many of us here on the board, and his name is Paul Teixeira. And so I just want to say our hearts and our prayers go out to these people, and we'd like to take a moment of silence in honor of the firefighters and Mr. Teixeira. Okay. We now move to consent calendar and ask the clerk if she would read the consent calendar, please.
Minutes of the meeting held on June 4th, 2013, approving correspondence on behalf of Sonora Regional Medical Center supporting AB 900, authorizing the district attorney to apply for a California Emergency Management Agency's Victim Witness Grant, approving an agreement between Tuolumne County Department of Social Services and E. Walter Moberg for emergency child shelter management services, approving the reappointment of James Kirk to the Columbia Cemetery District, approving the appointment of Leon Cassis Jr. to the Area 12 Agency on Aging Advisory Council and the Tuolumne County Commission on Aging, and as the Air Pollution Control District, approving the reappointment of James Garavante and Larry Sidmore to the Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District Hearing Board.
Okay. Any member of the Board of Supervisors want to pull any item? Seeing none, then the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent calendar.
Your second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Brennan. Is there any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Should read item 9, I think it is.
Consideration of approving the appointments of 7 members to the Tuolumne County Planning Commission.
You're going to go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. There are 7 members on the Tuolumne County Planning Commission. The terms of those commissioners essentially run with those of the supervisors whose districts they represent. There is a representative from each of the 5 supervisorial districts and 2 at-large members. As part of your review of the planning program for the county and the disbanding of the area planning commissions effective yesterday, your board decided to wait to appoint or reappoint members to the planning commission whose terms expired on February 15th of this year. And you directed that all 7 positions of the commission be up for appointment or reappointment. And I'll just summarize that you currently have 6 people serving on the commission. Those 6 have all applied to be reappointed. You do have 1 vacancy from Isaac Kite's resignation earlier this spring. And you have 4 people who have also applied to be appointed. Those are Dick Plan, Ron Ringen, Robert Ingalls, and Peter Rye. So today, we just ask your board make your appointments to the Tuolumne County Planning Commission.
Okay. Couple of comments. One is I'm a little disappointed we didn't get more applicants. All the applicants we got were certainly good and well qualified, but I thought we might get a few more because of the closure of the area planning commissions. Nonetheless, we have great candidates and it's time to do the job. I would propose that we take them district by district and then look at the 2 at-large appointments. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Shane, but one of the at-large appointments is a 4-year term, and one of them is a 2-year term.
That's
Is that
correct.
Okay. So, District 1, did you wish to appoint anybody at this time?
Yes, I'd like to reappoint Jim Garaventa.
I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Welcome back to the Planning Commission. District 2, I'm very pleased that Ron Ringen has applied. He has a good history in this county and dedicated public servant as a volunteer, and it's my privilege to nominate him as the District 2 representative to the Planning Commission.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Handbelt, second by Gray. Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome, Mr. Ringen. District 3.
I would like to nominate John Latore.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Supervisor Royce and a second by Rotifer. Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome back, Mr. Latore. District 4.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Jerry Baker.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Rotifer. Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome back, Mr. Baker. And District 5, please.
Yes, it's my pleasure to nominate for reappointment a very fine commissioner, Mr. Robert Steele.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Royce. Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome back, Mr. Steele. Now, the chair would entertain a motion from the remaining candidates for the 4-year term. Supervisor Rotifer?
I would like to nominate for the 4-year term as the at-large, in my mind, in his own words, a no-brainer, Mr. Dick Bland.
I would second that.
Okay. Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, the Supervisor Emeritus of Tuolumne County, Mr. Plan. Okay, for the 2-year term, is there a nomination?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Jerry Morrow. Mr. Morrow's been on the Planning Commission for a number of years. He brings experience and expertise to that position, and I would be happy to nominate him for that.
A second.
Second.
Okay, I got a nomination and in several seconds, nomination from Supervisor Gray, Mr. Rotifer, and Brennan unanimously fought for the second, so we'll take that. Any public comment on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome back, Mr. Morrow. Okay. Would you read item 10?
Consideration of approving appointments. There's 3 at-large members to the Board of Supervisors Planning Committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. Just as a reminder, in, again, reviewing your planning program, you modified the membership of your planning committee. It now consists of 2 members of your board, 2 representatives from the Tuolumne County Planning Commission, and 3 at-large members. You recently asked the clerk to post a notice of vacancy for the 3 at-large members. Unfortunately, we've only received 1 application from Jim Nagel. Mr. Nagel served on the Southern Tuolumne County Planning Commission and has been a member of the Planning Committee for the past year. We would ask that your board decide whether or not you want to appoint Mr. Nagel, and then we would bring other applicants to you as they are received.
As chairman, I'd just like to make the comment that I think Mr. Nagel has served the community well, and he's a great candidate. I would recommend personally that we accept his nomination, put him on the planning committee, and encourage members of the public, especially those who served in planning functions before, to apply for these positions. It's an important position, and we really need dedicated, qualified people like Mr. Nagel to do this.
So I would second that. And I think it's important to know that this particular planning commission sees things very early on, and it's very helpful to have good, strong thinkers on this commission, and those that did serve on the area planning commissions are perfect candidates for the Board of Supervisors Planning Commission.
Amen. Well, I didn't exactly make a motion, but
I said so moved.
Okay. So move in a second. Okay, I'll motion, but voted for a second by Gray. Any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Would the clerk please read item 11? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please.
My name is Chris Barsanti, and I live in Columbia, and I have nothing to say about Jim Nagel. I've served on the commission, on the board with him. But I just wanted to ask if you could review who is on this board now that it's been changed considerably. And maybe, you know, I didn't see any notice about applications, but can you tell who the members of the BOSPC are?
Chairman of the committee.
I'm chairman.
I know. I'm going to ask you to answer the question.
Okay. I don't recall. I think it's Jim O'Neill was, but he's not there now. I'm trying. I don't remember who was at large and who was.
Well, we previously had the three representatives from the area planning commissions, and those are the positions that have been changed to at-large members. So. Really, with the reappointments to the Tuolumne County Planning Commission, the Planning Commission will be, Tuolumne County Planning Commission will decide now who will be their representatives.
So we don't know.
So those will change, and then you'll have the three new at-large members. So it's really going to be a different body than it was previously.
So it's just Mr. Gray. It's not another board member?
Yes, it's Supervisor Royce.
So there's 6 members now.
There are 2 members of the Tuolumne County Planning Commission, 2 supervisors, and 3 at-large, so 7 members.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it by consensus, or is it the board are the only voting members, the members of the Board of Supervisors?
All 7 members are voting members on this particular committee.
Okay.
That was decided by the board when they restructured it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I apologize for missing your hand. Okay, now, item 11, please.
Consideration of adopting a resolution approving the 2013-14 Tuolumne County Executive Confidential Compensation Plan.
Good morning, Chairman Hanvelt, members of the board, Ann Fremd, Human Resources Manager. Before you today is for your consideration of approving the 2013-14 Tuolumne County Executive Confidential Compensation Plan. Mr. Pedro met with Ms. Dribdahl as the Executive Confidential Representative, and after multiple meetings and some really difficult negotiations because of the number of years we've been in concessions, the Executive Confidential agreed to the following terms, that Tier 1 and Tier 2 PERS contributions will be, currently Tier 1 has no employee contribution at all, but given by the employees. They've agreed to a 6.25% share of employer cost, as well as Tier 2 employees. And there is a 1% cost of living increase that will also be implemented upon the amendment of the tiers contract. Personal leave, there was a second tier added in prior negotiations. The Executive Confidential Unit has agreed to cap that, the accruals for those vacation levels at 500 hours that were previously at 750 hours. We have reduced the family medical leave eligibility period from 6 months down to 12 weeks as stated in federal law. And all pay reductions that employees have been experiencing for the last few years due to furlough will all be restored July 1st. Staff is requesting that you approve this compensation plan for fiscal year 13-14 for the executive confidential unit.
Are there any questions?
No questions. I would just like to make a comment. I think it's important to note that we have employees of Tuolumne County that have been very giving the last few years, and what we're doing now is restoring what was essentially taken away. And I want to thank them for all their hard work and their dedication to this county, making those concessions over the years, because if they hadn't, we would not be able to survive. So I want to thank all of them. The important thing is, when you look at this particular group and the next group we're talking about, they are the leaders of our county. Leaders lead, and that's what they've done the last few years, and I think it's important to note that.
Thank you very much. Well said. Anybody else want to comment or ask any questions? Is there any public comment or question on this? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Rutherford, second by Supervisor Gray. Any final comments? Anything from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 12, please.
Consideration of adopting a resolution approving the 2013 through 15 Tuolumne County Management Association Memorandum of Understanding.
And from Human Resources Manager again. That before you at this moment is the 2013 to 2015 Tuolumne County Management Association Memorandum of Understanding for your consideration. Again, this is more difficult negotiations, as Supervisor Gray just reminded us all of the many years of concessions. We've had some lengthy discussions in closed session as well as the bargaining table, and again, leaders stepping up and leading the way. July 1st, all of the voluntary concessions taken by the management unit will be restored. This group has also accepted the Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees paying 6.25% of the employer's share of cost of PERS, as well as a 1% cost of living increase that will be effective upon the amendment of the PERS contract. Additionally, there has been some significant pay compaction issues in this group because of the people that were supervised by this group. Not all of them had the same amount of furlough and concessions, so we have established additional educational incentive and pay differentials that are available to those that they supervise that are now available to the managers, as well as establishing a second level of personal leave for any employees hired on or after July 1st with a cap of 500 hours, and amended the Family Medical Leave Act to the 12 weeks as required by federal law instead of and reducing it from 6 months as currently in the contracts. Staff is requesting you approve the attached 2013 to 2015 Tuolumne County Management Association Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, any questions or comments for Ms. Frem?
Same comments as the last group.
You don't want to do it. That's a ditto. Anybody else? Okay. How about public comment? Okay. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Management Association Memorandum.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Brennan. Any final question or comment from the board? Public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 13.
Consideration of approving plans and specifications for the jail repair project and call for bids on August 8, 2013 at 2 p.m. in the board chambers.
This is my item. Maureen Frank, Deputy County Administrator. You don't know how much I wish I was here before you to talk about the construction of a new jail. But I'm not. Not until we
You want to
find
explain it to us?
funding. So, in the meantime, we need to take care of the current jail that we have and keep it going. And in doing so, I'm here before you to ask you to approve plans and specifications and call for the bid. As you know, our current jail is old. It's been reported several times in regards to the conditions that are down there. Originally, the jail was constructed in 1959, and it encompassed 18,074 square feet. There's been 2 additions to the jail since that time, and the last one which occurred in 1993. Just the jail portion now comprises 31,157 square feet and has a rated capacity of 140 inmates. Over the past couple of years, as I've expressed before to the board, we've had numerous maintenance-related issues. Just a synopsis for the public, we've had problems when the waste system leaks in the basement, we've had waste line blockages, we've had pinhole water leaks, we had mildew-related issues, water damage in the basement. In trying to address these issues, we retain the services of HMC Beverly Pryor Architects, and both the Sheriff's Office and the County Administrative staff work together in trying to come up with a scope of work to fix these issues. Before you today is those scope of work and those plans and specifications. What we plan to do is remove and replace all existing waste lines and the floor drains, provide new exhaust fans and rooftop HVAC units, replace existing roofing and flashing as required because of the new HVAC units. We're going to be sealing the new concrete that we need to put into the floors. We need to replace existing showers with new fiberglass showers. We need to remove and replace existing wall tiles, clean, patch, repair, and paint walls and ceiling surfaces. It's estimated that it will take us about 4 months to complete this work. The estimated engineer's estimate cost for just the construction portion of this project is $372,257. We do plan to put some money away for contingencies or change orders in this case. And then there's about $200,000 needed for operational cost. And the operational cost in this regards is due to the extensive nature of the repairs that I just outlined, the areas that we're going to affect. We're going to need to move inmates. We're moving some inmates out for the time of construction, both for the safety of the staff and for the contractor that's going to come in to work. So your new Undersheriff Bill Pulley has been working with Sierra Conservation on an agreement to move some inmates out, and that agreement will come before your board for consideration before we award this bid. So you'll be able to see the details of that agreement at that time. The Sheriff's Office is here to answer any questions you may have, but we're recommending approval of going out to bid for the jail repair project and authorizing the call for bids to be due 2:00 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors chambers on August 8th.
Supervisor Gray.
Yes, it's probably a question for either the sheriff or the undersheriff, and it has to do with the moving of the prisoners. We read all the time how the state prisons are full. Governor Brown says he's not going to move any. The judges say they have to move them. What's the status? I mean, is there room at the house for the prisoners we need to move?
Great question, Sheriff Jim Mealy, Tuolumne County. When there's money, there's always room.
So
we will be paying the state, and they have made room.
Okay, thank you.
state exacerbates our problem, and now we're paying the state to solve it.
Take it. Yeah.
Holiday Inn Express.
Okay, any further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the public? With that, the chair would entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the plan specification, call for bids for the jail repair project.
I second.
Okay, a second from Supervisor Brennan. Supervisor Gray made the motion. Any final comments? We're going to spend $600,000 when we need a new jail. Just think about it. Okay, here comes the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 14, please.
Consideration of approving the partnership with Big Dreams for the construction of a universally accessible playground adjacent to the Tuolumne Memorial Hall in Tuolumne.
Okay.
Good morning. Maureen Frank, Deputy County Administrator, and also in this capacity, your Recreation Director. I am excited. This is why we're in government. This is why we're here for our community. It's an exciting project. With me today is Sarah Garcia, and she is the president of the Big Dreams nonprofit group. Several months ago, Sarah came to talk to me about universally accessible parks. And it was an exciting idea, but it was also very disheartening because as Sarah talked to me about the project, she asked me about, do you realize that in Tuolumne County we do not have any universally accessible parks in Tuolumne County? And it was just heartbreaking to know that there were people out there that couldn't enjoy the parks, couldn't be there with other family members that maybe needed or had some challenges, and we didn't provide one. And Sarah was extremely excited about this project and really to get going on it. We partnered up with her, and we looked at several county parcels in the county. The one that we both thought best suited our area is the one we're here before you today to ask permission to utilize for this project. Currently, it's a park up by Tuolumne Memorial Hall, and it's currently a playground itself. Your package included pictures of it right now. It's in bad need of repair. When we thought about this park, the first thing we did was go to Tuolumne Park and Rec District, who manages that park on behalf of the county, and ask them about what they thought of the project and what kind of their plans are, what they've heard from the community. And it was overwhelming support for the project, and thought it was a wonderful idea for their community. The other thing that Sarah and I did is we last night went in before the Historic Preservation Review Commission and talked to them about it because it's next to an historical structure, and we wanted to know if they had any concerns with this project going next to an historical building. And overwhelmingly, again, no surprise, they were very, very supportive conceptually in regards to this project. We got their endorsement. We'll be back. If you approve this project, we'll go back before them again for the final renderings and make sure they're okay with the design of the facility. So you might ask what a universally accessible park is and why the need. And I am going to turn it over to Sarah Garcia because I think she expresses it better than I do. So Sarah.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Garcia. I'm the president of Big Dreams, Universally Accessible Parks and Playgrounds. A very long name, but for a good cause. So I'm going to go over some information that I brought for you today. It's a lot more interesting to look at the pictures instead of just listening to me talk. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'm the president of Big Dreams. And I'm also a parent of a child that has special needs. And I'm here today to, as Maureen said, discuss the possibility of building our playground on county property in Tuolumne. So Big Dreams is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was established to build playgrounds and parks for people that have disabilities, as well as for their family members, and also for kids that don't have disabilities and parents that don't have disabilities. The reason why our organization was formed was because of this little cutie right here. This is Ruby. This is my daughter. She was born in April of 2009. And when Ruby was about 5 months old, we started noticing that she was having some challenges. She wasn't meeting her developmental milestones like she should have been. And after consulting some doctors and seeing a neurologist and having rounds of testing, it was determined that she had had a stroke, either while I was pregnant with her or really, really early on when she was very young, like firstborn. So because of her stroke, Ruby started to have seizures. It's very common in children that have had a stroke for them to start having seizures. Well, Ruby was having over 100 seizures a day. And after a year of trying all different kinds of medications, the doctors at Stanford, or Lucille Packard Children's Hospital, decided that we needed to do surgery. There was no medication that would help her. So it was really challenging for us to make that decision. She was not quite 3 years old at the time. And so we went down to Lucille Packard Children's Hospital, and Ruby had what's called a hemispherectomy, which is basically disconnecting the entire left hemisphere of her brain, which was constantly having seizures. So that was really a stressful time, as you can imagine, for our family. So part of what helped me get through that time was to focus on something positive. And one of the issues that kept coming up to me while Ruby was growing up was that we didn't have anywhere to take her because she couldn't walk. She didn't have use of her right hand. Her right leg's really weak, so she couldn't climb up the ladder. She couldn't sit on a regular swing and hold on with two hands. So going to the park was really stressful for us. We had nowhere to go, and so we just stayed home, which having a child with special needs is emotional and challenging enough, but being home and not really having anywhere to go was very isolating. And so during the period of time we were waiting for Ruby's surgery and I was a mess, I was focusing those energies on doing something about it, and that's where this nonprofit organization started, was trying to find a positive thing to do while going through such a stressful time. So after discussing this with some of my friends and family and new friends that we've made through my daughter's therapy that she's been doing, and it came up that this was an issue a lot of families were facing, and they didn't realize that there was an alternative. So we decided together that we were going to make a change and build something like this in our community that was really needed. So one of the things that was really inspiring to me and what got me going was another nonprofit organization that's based out of Southern California, and they've been building universally accessible playgrounds all over the country and now kind of all over the world. And they had a beautiful video, and I want to show you just a couple minutes of it so you can see more of what inspired me. There's no internet. Okay. Just a minute. Let's see if it'll click. No. So change of plans. It's available on our website that you can watch afterwards, I guess. Okay, well, in the video, what it describes a lot of is how this playground impacts not just the children that have disabilities, but their entire family. So a lot of kids, if they have a disability, their siblings don't. Well, many times they have never been able to go and play at a park together. They've never really been able to get outside and play together. Well, what these playgrounds do is create that place where families of all abilities can come together and play. And also for parents that have disabilities, if they're in a wheelchair or have trouble getting around, taking their child to the playground is almost impossible. And really not safe, because if they can't get to the bottom of the slide to catch their 2-year-old, that's not a really, not a really safe place for them. So most of the time they'll stay home. And that's an experience that people have been sharing with me as we've been going through this process. So the difference between a standard playground and a universally accessible playground is, the most obvious is what you see. It's the solid surface that covers the underneath of the playground. So it's that rubberized, poured-in surface that makes it to where anybody, even in a walker or a wheelchair, can get to every piece of the equipment. And it's really helpful for children and adults and grandparents and anybody that wants to take their kids to the park. The part that you maybe don't see is the equipment itself that's been designed specifically for children that have disabilities like vision impairments, kids that have autism that maybe need a quiet place to go unwind for a few minutes when they get overwhelmed. There's a whole variety of equipment there that's not just for kids in wheelchairs, but also for kids that have many different disabilities. And our proposed location, as Ms. Brink said, is the park in Tuolumne next to the Memorial Hall. It's a great area, and it's just in need of being replaced. And as she said, also, it's been supported by the local Parks and Recreation District. And the reason why we want to do it in Tuolumne is it's one of our very unique communities that have a bunch of recreation facilities nearby: the baseball field, the pool, the library, the youth center, the horseshoe pits, the community hall, and a new golf course hopefully will be going in soon. And also, this is a community where I grew up. I went to Somerville Elementary School from the time I was in kindergarten all through 8th grade, and then graduated from Somerville High School. So I've spent many hours in that Memorial Hall at Girl Scout meetings, and I lived in Tuolumne for a long time, and I really want to be able to give back to the community that raised me and gave me so much as I was growing up. And the reason why, besides just my personal reasons why I want to build this park, as of our 2010 census, the population of the county was at around 55,000 people, and about 17% of our population are people with disabilities. That's nearly 10,000 people in Tuolumne County that have some type of disability, which was very surprising to me. And it just goes to show that this is a project that really needs to be done. And even if there's one person in a family that has a disability, that affects your entire family. So it may just be right under 10,000 people, but that is basically our entire community that's affected by the challenges that people face. And our closest accessible playground is in Folsom, which is nearly 80 miles from here. So I've never been. It's too far for me to take my kids. So the two main reasons why all parks aren't accessible. The number one, and I'm sure many of you are realizing this now, is awareness. We didn't realize there was a problem. I've looked, before I had kids, I looked at every playground and went, wow, that's really fun. I can't wait to get my kids out there, and it's so bright and beautiful and brand new and exciting. And then I had my daughter and realized that it is nice. They are nice and beautiful, but we can't go. So until this issue came up, most people, almost everyone I talked to, didn't realize that there was a problem or that there was a solution either. And also, it's really expensive. A regular playground doesn't come anywhere near the cost of what these universally accessible playgrounds cost. And during these economic times, government agencies and a lot of private companies can't put in a $300,000 playground. So our proposal is that we're going to be doing fundraising and writing grants to get the money to build our park. So our immediate goal, as Ms. Frank said earlier, is to partner with the county to build this accessible playground on county property in Tuolumne. And our long-term goals as an organization is to assist with the remodel or alteration maybe of parks that we already have and helping to make them more accessible. And also, we want to be a model for other foothill communities so they can build similar parks for people in their communities. So the next steps for our organization is hopefully get our approval today and begin our fundraising and then build our park. And if you're interested, and also this is out for our community, if they want to be involved and get involved in our project, our contact information is here. So thank you very much.
Okay. Any member of the board got any question, comment?
Comment is what a great thing to be doing.
Amen.
Thank you.
That's it. I just have a comment, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And you're right, it's awareness. I really had no idea, even the concept or idea of having to elevate a sandbox so a child could play in the sand. When I read this, it was just amazing to me. And I want to say I really like these partnership opportunities where we can get through step one with the property and then partnering with groups to get the other pieces of it put together. So thank you for bringing this forward, and I look forward to your first fundraising activities.
I'll be in contact.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I just met you this morning. Mark Trepner, if you're paying attention, you asked me once if we ever have any fun up here, if we ever got to do anything exciting. This is exciting, and it happens because of dedicated people like yourself, and we appreciate the effort. It's no small task to do this, and I just am encouraged by that, and I'm confident that this community, very generous, will reach out and help you any way they can. So our action
today, what we're looking for in the Recreation Department, it is authority to utilize the property next to Tuolumne Memorial Hall for this project.
Okay. I think this is in District 3. Would Supervisor Royce like to make that motion?
Sure, I'd be honored to make a motion to authorize using the Tuolumne facility.
I'd like to enthusiastically second.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this?
I'd also like to compliment Sarah on her work.
New or continuing member of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this went before I sit as a commissioner on the Historic Preservation Committee, and we did approve this, make a recommendation to you. And I think this is really a shot in the arm for Tuolumne County, especially for Supervisor Royce's district. I have a daughter that has autism, and with my grandkids, and she can go there, and I think that the people of Tuolumne County, this is just, again, a shot in the arm, and I know that hopefully that you'll approve this, and it'll be great for the county residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public want to comment? Dr. Stoll, I think I recognize you.
I couldn't resist. I certainly appreciate the fact that there are no equipments involved that are video games in this. I think offering options that are actual physical activities is something we rarely get to do. So certainly want to endorse this, especially with a focused, functionally population that we need some attention. So thank you very much, Sarah, for bringing this in.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment?
You don't have a conflict of interest, do you?
Well, Sarah's daughter, Ruby, is one of my daughter's very good friends, and so I would very much look forward to setting up a play date as soon as possible at a new park, if you approve it.
I don't call that a conflict of interest.
My
But
daughter
it
is
does
one of
sound
your-
like a conspiracy and a good one.
I would just like to point out that my daughter is one of your constituents.
I know she is. She hasn't voted yet, but that's okay. Sydney can vote anytime. Okay, any final comments? All those in favor signify by saying, whoops.
Did you want to restate the motion?
He moved.
He moved.
Seconded.
Second here. Actually, I think you probably had everybody willing to second, so, anyway, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously, and thank you very much. This is a great project.
Thanks for your work.
Okay. Item 15, please.
Consideration of adopting a resolution to correct a clerical error in Exhibit B and C of Resolution 3212.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. Your board adopts resolutions to amend the Tuolumne County General Plan periodically. Last year, you adopted Resolution 3212 to make a couple of amendments to the general plan, and we have found two errors in that resolution. The first error is in Exhibit B, which was for a general plan amendment for assessors parcel number 3237022, and the exhibit map for the rezoning, which is the ordinance, was mistakenly attached as Exhibit A. So this resolution before you this morning would correct that error. The second error was to the map, which was attached as Exhibit C, and that was for a property, assessors parcel number 311019, owned by the Oddfellow Sierra Recreation Association. Minor error, the point of beginning for the legal description happened to be in the wrong place. So this resolution that I'm asking you to adopt this morning would correct that error as well.
Any questions of Ms. Shane? Any public comment? Seeing none, then the chair would entertain a motion. Motion by Supervisor Royce. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Gray. Any final comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 16, please.
This is a first reading on an ordinance to correct a clerical error in Exhibit A of Ordinance Number 3201.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. As I just mentioned, there was an error on the project for the Oddfellow Sierra Recreation Association. The point of beginning on the exhibit map was in the wrong location. That was on the resolution for the general plan amendment and also the associated rezoning ordinance. So today I'm asking that you would waive the first reading of an ordinance that would correct the clerical error on Exhibit A of Ordinance 3201, and that you schedule the second reading and adoption for your board meeting in 2 weeks, which would be on July 16th.
Okay, any questions? Public comment? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Rotifer. Any final comment, question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 17.
Consideration of approving Amendment Number 2 to the Agreement for Professional Services with RMC Geosciences, Inc.
Ms. Shane, I think you're up again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Your board entered into an agreement for professional services with RMC Geosciences Incorporated, and the purpose of this agreement is primarily for monitoring and assistance with both our Jamestown landfill and our Groveland landfill. The contract originally expired in 2011. Before it expired, your board extended it for 2 more years. The contract currently expires December 31st of 2013. It's only July, so why am I here today? This is a not-to-exceed contract for very specific work that the consultant does for us. Again, it's primarily monitoring and assisting with other issues that might arise regarding these landfills. As you'll recall, we did have the storm damage repair last year, and our consultant, RMC, assisted us with that effort. We have also been notified that the Regional Water Quality Control Board, during its annual review of our Groveland landfill, decided to issue new waste discharge requirements. And under that, those new requirements, we have a deadline of September 1st to submit a plan of how the county is going to comply with the new requirements. This consultant is working very closely with us on developing a plan and submitting it to the state. He also represented the county in negotiating with the state to actually reduce many of the original requirements proposed by the state for those waste discharge requirements. The cost of doing that is going to exceed the current not-to-exceed amount. So I'm here today to ask your board to modify this agreement to, first of all, extend or increase the not-to-exceed amount for the current contract by $33,000 for professional services, and then also to extend the contract for 2 more years till December 31st of 2015, so that our consultant, who we've been working very closely with on especially the Groveland issue, would be able then to, once a plan for implementation is developed, then he would oversee the implementation, which could include drilling some new monitoring wells and that other type of work. So we would ask your board to, again, extend the contract and modify the existing not-to-exceed amount. The landfills, as you know, you own them, the county owns them. It's annual monitoring, maintenance. These are problems that we are going to have in perpetuity under the California rules. And it was also a very small slide that occurred last winter at the Jamestown landfill. This consultant would provide some assistance on evaluating that. That is considered maintenance work rather than a major repair work. And we're going to see those types of problems that will crop up occasionally with these landfills. And it's very important for us to have the expertise to guide us through the labyrinth of the rules at both the Water Quality Control Board and also the Integrated Waste Management Board boards. So again, we ask your board to modify this contract and extend it.
Any questions?
Yes. What changed at the Groveland landfill?
What changed? Well, essentially, we don't believe that there's been any change for the last 10 years. What changed, frankly, was staffing at Water Quality Control Board. And they reviewed our history. We have to, of course, file lots of reports annually on all of our monitoring. They determined that there were some modifications to the monitoring wells that were done in the early 2000s, over 10 years ago, that they could not find a record that had ever been approved by the state, and that really triggered a very close review of our Groveland landfill monitoring program.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else questions?
I don't necessarily have any issues with RMC or the requests, but I have some serious concerns about how we manage our landfills and the potential future liability for the county. I would really like a comprehensive review of that, and I would really like to see that brought to the board at some time in the near future.
Anybody else? Ms. Shane, did we have any record of the state approving those well modifications?
No. The Solid Waste Division scoured their records and could not find it.
Is there a difference between how we monitor Groveland versus Jamestown?
The basic process is the same. Again, we have monitoring wells, they take samples, they submit reports, they also go out, and my understanding is they go out and actually look to see the condition of the closure, any surface damage, things like that arise, and they report on all of that on an ongoing basis.
Well, my concern should be obvious, I guess, is if the state doesn't like or wants to review or do something different and spend our money on Groveland, are they going to come back and do the same thing on Jamestown?
Well, again, the state has that authority.
It seems to me they'd have a uniform program. That's why I'm asking.
Well, what we have found, and your board hears complaints locally too, is that sometimes it depends on the staff person doing the review. And we believe that that was the case for the Groveland landfill this time. We have worked with those agencies over the years and have found that there are some staff people who have take a more critical look at the reports than others. And we can go up the chain of command, but in this particular case, our consultant worked very closely with the executive staff person to the board itself in order to negotiate, again, some modifications to the original proposal for our new waste discharge requirements. He has that type of expertise and the ability to persuade, if you will. And that's what we feel is very important about this particular firm.
Well, but in anticipation, when you're doing this, it seems to me to be appropriate that we look at Jamestown and at least think about if they imply this or impose some new additional similar requirements on Jamestown, how are we going to deal with that, and plan accordingly, because it just seems to me like creeping inflation will cause that to happen if it hasn't already.
Well, as Supervisor Roderfer requested, we can certainly put together
We'll just add that
about
to
the
list.
landfills and present it in a workshop format if you'd like.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I would prefer to be ahead in anticipatory than be, or, react after the fact. I hate surprises, but you know that. Okay, any further comments from the board, Ms. Brennan?
Just a question. Is there an appeals process once it's at the state water board? I mean, when they make a decision like this?
Yes, you can. No, actually, the state board actually approves the waste discharge requirements. And the only thing the locals can do is can you work with staff, and then at the hearing, if you question anything, the staff, you can bring it to the board's attention. But the board actually is the one who approves the waste discharge requirements.
Okay, any further comments? How about public comment? Any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, the board or the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve amendment number 2 to the agreement for professional services with RMC Geosciences Incorporated to increase the not-to-exceed limit for the current agreement to $154,000, to extend the agreement for 2 years with an expiration date of December 31st, 2015, for a total amount of $151,000.
I second.
Okay, thank you. A motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Roderfer. Any final questions or comments from the public? I don't see any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 18, please.
Consideration of approving plans and specifications and bid book for contract number 16 at 52 Limekiln Road Reconstruction Project, issuing a call for bids to be due on July 25th, 2013 at 2 p.m.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Tanya Allen, Supervising Engineer for the Community Resources Agency. In front of you today is a consideration of approving a bid package and issuing a call for bids for the Limekiln Reconstruction Project. As you recall, on May 21st, your board recognized $891,000 of one-time funds to be considered on the proposed 2013 road improvement list, in which you determined for the fiscal year of 2013-14. Those projects included the reconstruction of Limekiln Road from Campo Seco Road to Championship Drive as a priority. The proposed project consists of reconstructing the existing roadway surface by utilizing a cold film in-place recycling to a depth of 4 to 6 inches with a 1.8-inch hot mix asphalt overlay. A safety edge will be used instead of shoulder backing, and that work will be approximately 2.15 miles. Do you have any questions?
Okay, any questions, comments from the board?
Just a question on the some of the information that we have here. It has to do with any money left over to address Woodham's Carn Road, and that's still part of the game plan.
It's also in District 4.
No, I gave that to Mr. Royce.
Oh.
It's a problem area, so...
John couldn't fix it, so I have to do
John? It's a what area?
I could make him happy, so I gave him to him. No, I just want to make sure that we're still consistent in looking at both of those roads, because it is another one in the that's only comment.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just so you're aware, we have submitted a request through the Tuolumne County Transportation Council for use of their RSTP Exchange Reserve Fund to be able to pay for Woodham's Carn Road or for road maintenance in the event that we do not get our Secure Rural Schools funding extended. But if we do get that extended, then we would like to be able to build the Woodham's Carn Road reconstruction project.
Okay, that's clear. Okay, any further comments or questions? How about public? Any public comment? Okay, let's see. This one is in District 4, so I'm going to look to you to make a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the specification bid book for contract number 1652, Limekiln Road construction.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Royce. So motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Royce. Any final questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, could I just confirm that the motion also includes the declaration of intent regarding the use of authority to perform force account work?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Got everything clear? Final questions, comment? Public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. You're welcome. Item 19, please.
Consideration of accepting the recommendations of the Biological Resources Review Guide, BERG, Ad Hoc Committee, establishing the Biological Resources Ad Hoc Committee, and directing the Board Clerk to post a notice of vacancy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Mike Laird, Deputy CRA Director. At your meeting on January 15th of this year, your board reactivated the Biological Resources Review Guide, or BERG, Ad Hoc Committee. Your board provided specific direction to that committee as follows. Review past actions regarding the BERG and recommend alternative approaches to accomplish the original objectives of the BERG. Then on February 5th and March 5th, your board filled the positions on the ad hoc committee. The committee consisted of 12 members and represented the following bodies: your board, development interests, business interests, agricultural interests, conservation and environmental interests, biologists, the general public, and the Fish and Game Preservation Fund Advisory Committee. Supervisors Royce and Rotifer served on the committee, and Supervisor Royce was the committee's chair. The committee met a total of 7 times for approximately 2 hours each meeting. The committee completed its mission on June 10th. At its meeting on April 22nd, they heard a presentation by Annie Ferranti, Senior Environmental Scientist with the California Department of Fish and Game, Department of Fish and Wildlife, regarding that agency's rules and responsibilities. And then on May 13th, the committee heard a presentation by Dr. Rick Standiford, who's a Cooperative Extension Forest Management Specialist with the Oak Management Program in the Agricultural and Natural Resources Division at the University of California, Davis. And his presentation was regarding oak woodlands, a topic that's very important to our community. The committee developed a matrix to identify the advantages and disadvantages of various options regarding mitigating impacts to biological resources that result from land development projects. A copy of the matrix is included in your packet. At the conclusion of its meeting on June 10th, the committee made the following recommendations to your board. Number one, eliminate use of the Tuolumne County Wildlife Handbook and abandon efforts to prepare a biological resources review guide. And B, appoint a committee to propose the following: revisions to the biological resources section of the conservation and open space element of the general plan to reflect recent decisions by your board to mitigate impacts to biological resources from land development projects. Number two, oak woodland, to include oak woodland policies in the biological resource section of the conservation and open space element of the general plan. And three, to develop thresholds of significance regarding biological resources. So, at this point in time, it is our recommendation to your board that you accept the recommendations of the Berg Ad Hoc Committee, that you establish a biological resources ad hoc committee representing the following interests: your board, development interests, business interests, agricultural interests, conservation and environmental interests, biologists, the general public, and the Fish and Game Preservation Fund Advisory Committee. Number three, that you direct the ad hoc committee to prepare the following for consideration by your board: revisions to the biological resources section of the conservation and open space element to do what the committee recommended. B, oak woodland policies for inclusion in the biological resources section of the conservation and open space element. And three, develop thresholds of significance under the California Environmental Quality Act regarding impacts to biological resources. And the fourth recommendation is that you have the clerk post a notice of vacancy and schedule appointments to the new ad hoc committee for your meeting on July 16th of 2013. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
I'll just make one comment. I'd really like to reappoint the same committee to finish the job they recommend.
At the conclusion of the last meeting on June 10th, many of the committee members spoke to the Community Resources Director about that very same point and felt that since they are now so well-versed in the issues
That's exactly the reason. Okay, any other questions, comments?
Yes, when looking at some of the material here, page 2 of 3, B, encourage a streamlined development process relative to biological resources. That was the number one goal in my mind that we wanted to get to. And looking at this recommendation and seeing where we're going, I have a question for council as far as where we're at today. Right now, policy 4J2 and then 4JA requires us to use the wildlife handbook when we do land projects. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so until we change that, that's a general plan amendment, are we still bound to use the wildlife handbook?
Yes.
Okay, so that goes on. The second question is I've always been concerned, not so much with the big developer, because the fact is he has to go through CEQA if you have a large project. But I want to ask a question about the little guy, and maybe I just propose a hypothetical one here. I have a 10-acre parcel. It's zoned RE, located on Yosemite Road. That's Supervisor Roy's district, I believe. I'll pick on him a little bit more today. And I want to take that 10 acres and I want to divide it up. It's zone RE2. I want to divide it up into 4 parcels. What would it cost me to do that today versus with the wildlife handbook versus if we eliminate that? I think it's important for the public to understand where we're going.
Okay. Just as a little background, when we talk about mitigating impacts to biological resources, there's 4 areas that we specifically look at: special status species, cumulative impacts to wildlife, oak woodland, and wetlands. So, assuming you don't have any wetlands on your 10 acres. Right now, if we got a project, we would send it to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and they would probably tell us, you've got a couple special status species out there you have to study for. So the handbook doesn't, address special status species. You would have to hire a biologist to go out and study for those special status species. Once you got that done, then you could use the Tuolumne County Wildlife Handbook to mitigate cumulative impacts to wildlife on the site, and you'd work with staff to do your oak woodland mitigation. So, whatever the cost for the biologist to do the special status species is basically what it would cost you. If we get rid of the Tuolumne County Wildlife Handbook, then the wildlife biologist would be doing all of that work. Since they're already out on the ground, the site's 10 acres, I suspect it would be another $200, $300, $500 to address cumulative impacts to wildlife and maybe throw an oak woodland conversion as well. So there would be an additional cost, at least until staff gets up to speed and has a comfort level with what Fish and Game would accept, and we could start helping developers with that rather than having biologists do it every single time.
Okay, what I'm getting at is, would every project be subject, as we go forward, to having to have a biologist review the project, or can we do that in-house?
I think the short answer is, ultimately, we may be able to do some of it in-house. One of the suggestions from the committee was that we establish a catalog of mitigation measures that are used on projects and approved by the Department of Fish and Wildlife as we go through this process, and so that we could use those in similar situations in the future. And once we got comfortable with that, and Fish and Wildlife's how they look at our recommendations, I think we could do that, and that ultimately might save people some money. But certainly up front, there would be more reliance on biologists to assist us in these matters.
Thank you.
Supervisor Rutherford.
One of the issues that came out in our deliberations that I think is important for the community to understand is that Fish and Wildlife makes no contracts with us, okay? Fish and Wildlife could agree with whatever we put out there as a wildlife handbook, and they could come in after the fact. They could even not comment on our CEQA review, and could come in after the fact and impose things on the developer. So a lot of the rationale for why we chose to not pursue the wildlife handbook was because we couldn't get any commitment out of Fish and Wildlife that they would honor anything. So whatever we had was going to be pretty useless anyway. So
yeah, the problem that the committee recognized was a developer could use our plan and use it to a T, go through the process, and then get to the end of the CEQA process, and Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife could say then, yeah, that's great, but we need you to do this as well, and so you have to do more work in addition to what our plan said.
In the process, I'm compelled to ask this question, in the process that we use today, somebody goes through the Wildlife Conservation Handbook, do they really have approval until they get Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife to sign off?
Well, the approval comes from either your board or...
I understand, but in spite of the fact that the Board of Supervisors and the staff and the whole world outside of Fish and Wildlife thinks the project is great, do they really have approval until Fish and Wildlife says okay?
Well, in response to your question, we try to work with developers and the Department of Fish and Wildlife to come to a meeting of the minds on every
I understand, but until Fish and Wildlife says okay, do they have approval?
Yes. I mean, a project can be approved contrary to what the Department of Fish and Wildlife says. At that point, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, or more likely groups who may be opposed to the decision, could then file suit. And the fact that the Department of Fish and Wildlife has said, you're not mitigating impacts, that's a very
evidence.
That's very good evidence that there wasn't a proper job of CEQA done.
So the answer is no. You don't have approval until Fish and Wildlife really says okay.
actually, you don't have, you have approval, okay, but the approval doesn't mean you can't be sued.
You're at risk.
Yes, you're at risk.
There's a liability.
And the bottom line is, even if Fish and Wildlife says yes, today. Tomorrow, they can change their mind.
And you still have liability.
And you still have.
One thing, too, I'd like to point out is that we could do a perfect job and we could still get sued. It's whether or not that decision would be upheld by a court.
Right.
So.
And we can make findings that are contrary to Fish and Game because science is somewhat subjective in some cases.
Science is not subjective.
And just,
I'm sorry, I'm a scientist. I have to.
In a perfect world, it's not.
Interpretation.
It's thesis, antithesis, etc.
The data never lies to you.
We recognize that,
data is
all of your decisions may be subject to litigation, but I just want to reassure you that it's not our practice to recommend something to you that if you were to get sued, that we think you would lose that litigation.
I understand. I just asked a simple question, and the answer is no. Okay.
So I want to get back to Supervisor Gray's example a little bit, because I was talking to one of the biologists at length, and some of his examples are really troubling. So we have a 10-acre parcel, and we're going to split it into 2 5s. No wetlands, no huge, concerns. Does that property owner automatically lose 20% to mitigation? Or, so in this case, 2 acres?
No, not automatically. He has 2 options. He can use the Tuolumne County Wildlife Handbook to mitigate his cumulative impact on wildlife habitat, or he can hire a biologist to evaluate his impact on biological resources and tell us what the appropriate mitigation is.
So if he uses the handbook, then it's going to be 20%?
In most cases, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some habitats where mitigation is not required. There's some habitats that are higher priority that require more than 20%. But in most cases, it's 20%.
Because I just look at that, and again, setting aside a half an acre and a quarter of an acre and piecemealing to get to that 20% doesn't seem to be something that's going to enhance be an enhancement even out there for the species. And so it gets, I think we actually, in the end, we end up complicating projects for small folks that are trying to do simple, like a simple split. We end up really making it more difficult in the long run in a number of cases, and I'm not sure that we're getting to any real beneficial consequences for species out there when we do these little piecemeal, like I said, half acre, 3.
What we're supposed to be trying to do is keep it all together, link corridors, things like that. So use drainages and things like that. You're right. Oftentimes we do try to work with the developer to find something that works with the home sites he had envisioned and things like that. And it does get piecemealed a little bit.
Well, and I also want to thank the committee for, I know you guys put in an awful lot of time trying to get at this. I just think at some point it's really going to be important for us, in the end game, and it comes back to some of the oak woodland pieces too when we're listening to experts, that we really be making a sound biological call and not necessarily a political call, which some of this kind of seems to get at.
Okay, Supervisor Royce, you had something?
Yeah, just a quick comment also about the actual direction that the committee has recommended here. I think that part of the issue that we've had in the past is that in some cases for small projects, we may have saved them some money with potential consultant costs as far as biologists, but we've increased the cost as far as mitigation by taking a collectivist type of approach to a policy instead of having a flexible ability on a project-by-project basis, because there are so many different types of habitats and different issues in Tuolumne County. And one of the issues in the future that this would have created by having a berg or birch is that when you go through the CEQA checklist, there's a box that you check that staff has to look at that says, is this project consistent with all local plans and so forth. And by having this berg or birch as a plan, we would have to be consistent with that, basically. And when Fish and Game, or Wildlife, excuse me, comments on a project, they base their comments on our local plans. And so if we require 20% open space as a mitigation measure, they're saying you need to have 20% open space. On a project that potentially doesn't need to have 20% open space, it might only need 4% open space. And then maybe in some other cases, there might be a project where you want to have 40% open space because you do have wetlands and other critical habitats. So I think that the benefit to pursuing this the way that we are is because, and potentially having a catalog, you're still showing developers what to expect, what other projects potentially had to pay for mitigation of a comparable type of project, but you're not creating a plan to where it becomes a policy document that is subject to Fish and Wildlife and so forth. So that's really what we're trying to do.
Okay. Oh, Supervisor.
Yeah. I think there's another question that I have concerning the what the most recent Supreme Court decision had to do with putting restrictions on property and calling them taking. And I proposed a quick question for you the other day that has to do with open spaces, is requiring a specific amount of open space. Is that going to run afoul with the recent Supreme Court decision?
The court case that you're talking about is Kuntz versus the St. Johns River Water Management District that the U.S. Supreme Court handed down on June 25th of this year. And I am in the process of reviewing it and providing analysis both for your board and these types of decisions. And so in moving forward, our office will be making sure that any decisions that your board makes is in line with this case.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments up here? Is there any public comment on this subject? Come on forth.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and staff. I'm Dick Pland. I am the chief protector of 2-inch old-growth blue oak. If that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will, folks.
Is that an official appointment?
Yeah, that's... Anyway, I'm not here today to change anybody's mind on the fact that the Berg and the Wildlife Handbook are going to be ultimately gone. We've been through that, and what is. In fact, 8 months ago, I think those documents were DOA once we got that letter from Fish and Game, and the fact that some of the key players in the original Berg committee had a change of mind. So that's a dead horse, and I'm definitely not going there today. Now, there are some items in that Berg document that I think are very important, and I'd hate to see them just disappear because we are eliminating the document. I would hope that in some fashion they can be incorporated as alternates to whatever other mitigation programs that may be required. And those items were hammered out in a long discussion. Some of them were unanimous by the first Berg committee. Some had one negative vote, but the rest were positive. I just will briefly mention some of those that I hope will survive all this discussion, whatever happens down the road as far as this issue is concerned. One big change was, in fact, instead of 20% of the total area to be set aside, it was 20% of the habitat. Big change. Some people don't like that. A lot of people do. Reducing the so-called double dip, where you had set-asides both for wildlife and for oak. So it was a cumulative situation, and that was not necessarily eliminated, but as I recall, it was cut down to 50%, somewhere along there. When there had to be a set-aside for wildlife or oaks, instead of automatically going into open space, O or O1, The alternative was in there where it could be zoned ag with certain restrictions and certain management plan requirements. Instead of locking it up in O, it would be able to come under an ag zoning and therefore make use of the set-aside itself. There are a number of habitats that were originally listed that were completely eliminated from any further consideration as far as mitigation requirements were concerned. There was a reduction in set-asides, whether it be 001, whatever, for infill and inclusionary housing as a encouragement for infill and inclusionary housing. One more thing that might financially appeal to a developer. The issue of the 1.5 times drip line, you're aware of what I'm talking about, I hope, became very sacred in some of the previous efforts. The Berg Committee took that sacredness away to a great degree, some restrictions within the drip line itself, but still a proponent able to utilize that land for certain purposes under certain conditions. I think that was a key issue that Dale Kaiser raised many, many months ago as you look through the county and see about this drip line, 1.5 times drip line special treatment issue. And finally, I think one of the key items that tended to be overlooked and I hope would survive is the ability for the developer to manage the oak woodland in whatever form it finally comes down, instead of just locking it up. A lot of cases where the set-aside oak woodland would greatly benefit from some type of management. I mean, thinning, sanitation, cutting, a preferred species. It can be encouraged versus some species not so important. In other words, the ability to do things with that oak woodland besides just put a barrier around it and say, that's it, folks. So anyway, those are some of the items that the Berg Committee, in their wisdom, came up with. I think they were very progressive and constructive and, more important, probably common sense that I hope would survive in some fashion. And I don't know how you can do that, frankly, whether it's a checklist or because when you go to an outside biologist, he may not even consider these kind of things, but these are local issues developed by a local committee, and I'd like to see that somewhere along the line that they are alternatives to just straight mitigation, which you might get from just an outside biologist.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And by the way, I don't know where I saw you here, but I'm glad you're on the new Planning Commission.
Oh, well, thank you. I wasn't aware of that.
I didn't know that I saw you.
We'll find out about that, too.
Supervisor Race, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, just a comment. I would really like to say thank you to Dick for raising those points, and I would agree that those are very important issues that a lot of work has been put into, and I'm very hopeful that the criteria that we have here, looking at thresholds of significance, a lot of those things like the drip line, I don't think are necessarily mitigations, but those are thresholds of significance, and we need to have those clearly spelled out as a policy, and that's one thing the committee talked about. And then the other issue I wanted to just add on to what you had said is talking about open space and so forth. That's really good stuff. And then also the committee had some discussions at some point, and I'd like to see this be incorporated into what is pursued in the future, is pursuing tags as mitigation for biological resource in some cases. Instead of having a zoned open space where it's, a specific zoning, you can just basically create setbacks and still mitigate that, and that's done in a lot of counties and a lot of places, and the benefit to that versus open space is that you can still maintain the land, you can do clearing and things like that, but the key is you're not going to build a house on it or a road through it or something like that, but you can go through and you can weed eat it, you can do things like that without violating your zoning ordinance. So I would like to look at that. And then once again, just thank you, Dick, for your time on the committee.
Thank you.
Yes, I would concur with Mr. Plan's recommendation and also with what the Supervisor Royce has said. I think it's important that we look at this locally and not forget some of those items that we have worked hard on to try to fix.
Can I slip one more in there that I forgot to mention? And I think they know, but I just want to bring it up so that you guys hear it. It's the difference between mitigating specific oak trees and oak woodlands, and that's something that we talked about, and we had a presentation on that. And that's a really important issue that this committee is going to have to iron out a little bit of. And there's been clarity issues on what the general plan's intent was on that, so we'll be working on that as well.
Supervisor Rutherford, you wanted to say something, or you want to?
I'll defer to
Mr. Banks. Welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Board, and staff. Mark Banks, Tuolumne County Building Industry. Invested in the program here for quite a while in both the committees, and you know, is an honor to serve on those committees and help out where I could there. We didn't take it lightly on what we were doing as a recommendation to throw out the wildlife handbook and the Berg and all that time and effort, especially staff time, consultant time, and everything. But we just got to the point where one of the mandates that we heard from the board was that we wanted to, well, and it's even spelled out, and I think it was item C, or the third item there, that we needed to streamline. We don't need to overreach. We don't need to go further. We don't need to add another layer of bureaucracy. All those things we felt like we could not accomplish with either one of those documents. Hence, let's get rid of them. Let's make some changes, or some common sense general plan changes. Let's approach it that way. And I think it's a good recommendation, and you know, obviously we went along with that. We've got CEQA, Fish and Wildlife, Federal Fish and Wildlife, Army Corps of Engineers. All these people have specific ideas on what we can do in things like stream beds and, you know, setbacks and all these things. So there's a lot of habitat that's already being protected without any of the rest of anything that we need to do. So staff's well aware of those. They deal with them all the time. They deal with those other agencies. The problem that we couldn't get to, and everybody's talked about it, is we couldn't get agency buy-in. Whatever we were going to do, we weren't going to get them on board. We weren't going to get their approval and A-OK and say, okay, now that we've got a project, we're going to use this document and we'll be done with these agencies. They still stay involved right up until the end, especially if it's sensitive habitat. The open space and ag designation items that Mr. Plan talked about, I think, yeah, we need to either have a guide or some way of saying, hey, these are the kinds of things that staff will consider as mitigation. I thought that was an excellent idea, that some of that, if we're going to mitigate with some ag. One of the things we learned from Rick Standiford, the oak woodland guy that made his presentation, was that oak woodlands were best managed by first the native Indians in our area. They did a good job of, they came in, they kept the fuels low, and these woodlands flourished when they were managed correctly. The second best management of those woodlands was from ag operations. So Tuolumne County taking that direction and applying it in whatever kind of mitigation we do, especially in our oak tree policy, I think is important. There's a little bit of a conflict between some of the habitat for the little critters and oak tree woodland, in that, yeah, you're going to probably get some really good habitat by letting these things, staying away from them, letting them grow up, letting them get ugly, you know, and not have anybody touch them, right up to the point where the fire comes through and burns the whole thing to the ground. And then what's the habitat worth at that point? So those are the kind of things that we're going to be thinking about as we develop the oak tree policy. Planning issues was something else that Rick Standiford brought up. A lot of times we go way overboard, 50-to-1 mitigation, 20-to-1, 10-to-1, these different things. It's actually detrimental to oak woodlands to have too closely spaced trees. The other thing we do is in the past, we've been using too big of trees. He says that sometimes planting acorns or even just using the sleeves, the bigger trees don't survive as well. We learned a lot through the course of this. So I think we've got the wisdom, and keeping the same committee, I think, is a wise choice, because all that wisdom gained in the course of this can be now applied to the changes we need to make to our oak woodland policy. Getting down to the very end of it here, thresholds of significance. We're talking about 3 to 5% of developable land in Tuolumne County at this point. Not all of that is going to have oak woodland. All of it's going to have some special species habitat. So really, what are we talking about? How big of an impact can we possibly have at this point? I think we used a bazooka when we should have been using a BB gun in some instances when it comes to mitigation. I think we can do better. And I will volunteer for the new committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think I had somebody else who wanted to speak, unless somebody has a question for Mr. Banks.
Hi. Carrie Hoy. I was on the Berg Ad Hoc Committee as a public member, and I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to serve on that committee. I think it was a valuable and informative experience. But I wanted to comment on the recommendations as they were written up and published after our last meeting, because according to my recollection, on the item 3A, the first half of it, yes, that's what we recommended, but there was discussion about considering recent decisions, but not necessarily modifying that, using those as rules yet. And I think it's important to keep the flexibility, as Evan mentioned, in order to look at each situation on a case-to-case basis. And again, on item 3C, we did not, according to my recollection, we didn't recommend to establish thresholds of significance. We just talked about that we may want to use that, and we may, in addition, we talked about we may just want to use the CEQA checklist. So I think I just wanted to comment that I think it's important to save the flexibility, and that some of these weren't written as I remember the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to make comment from the public? Back to the board. Any final? Supervisor Rodefer.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody that participated on the ad hoc committee. Going all the way back prior to me coming onto the board and getting on the committee, that was, I believe, a comprehensive process going back, how many years, Dick? I'm not real... 7 or 8, okay. It is kind of a statement of reality, I guess, that the project with great intentions just became too hard to do in some cases. But I do want to thank everybody that participated, everybody that contributed. It was an eye-opening learning experience for myself. I think it was for everybody involved. We did get a wealth of information that probably hadn't had before. I do, in fact, I made the motion on the recommendations, and I do support the recommendations. I do agree with Ms. Hoy that we need to maintain some flexibility in how we implement those recommendations, or recommend to the Board of Supervisors that we implement those recommendations. But and every single, as always, every single comment by Supervisor Emeritus Pland is absolutely spot on, and we need to consider all of those. And I agree with everything that Mark Banks also said. So again, thanks to everybody that participated in this, and please come back and help us finish this off. Thanks.
Okay.
Question on process. Item number 4, direct the board clerk to post a notice. Can we forego number 4 and just appoint a committee? Or
The current committee was, set up for a short-term purpose, and at its last meeting was disbanded. So, I mean, at this point, you can, of course, ask everyone to, who was on that committee to reapply.
Well, I have a slightly different view of things. They were appointed. I think that we have invested, we have invested, take that back. The committee invested an enormous amount of time in researching and learning all of the things that they learned and debating this, and to give that up, I would encourage us to, if you will, query the committee, see if they'd be willing to serve to finish this task, and if they are, then we reappoint them, and if there's anyone who does not, then we post that one as a vacancy and see if we can't fill it. All of the comments that we got today I thought were very thoughtful, and clearly the experience demonstrated by members of the committee who got up and spoke, I'd hate to lose that expertise. So I'm asking, is that possible to simply ask them if they would accept a reappointment, and if they would, then they're appointed and we'd fill the vacancies that don't accept the reappointment?
Well, this is really a new committee. The first committee, the previous Berg ad hoc committee, again, was set up for a very limited purpose. What you're asking now, it's a new committee that you're setting up.
I'd argue that it's merely an extension, but okay.
I would agree.
Agree with what?
It's an extension.
Oh.
They're not disbanded. We're calling them back.
That's probably not a legal term.
I would defer to counsel. I know you guys are smart.
Okay. It's my understanding that the committee members are very interested in continuing to participate. So I do not believe that you would, in posting a notice of vacancy, that you would not have these exact committee members reapply. And at the time it came back to your board for appointment, you could then reappoint.
Well, then I'd like to modify the last portion. We can notice the vacancy if you like, but I would like that we solicit the former committee members for their assent to continue with this project.
Mr. Chairman, if I could offer, perhaps you could go ahead and post a notice of vacancy, because there may be others who wish to serve on this new committee, but maybe by direction of your board, those who are on the Berg ad hoc committee do not have to reapply. Staff will contact them to see if they are interested in being reappointed. So you save them the effort of having to submit a new application.
That works for me.
Okay. I just want to make one last comment.
And please encourage.
One last comment?
That's all. One last comment. To Ms. Shane and her staff for hanging in all these years and working on this. I can't imagine the roller coaster ride that you guys have been on the last 7-8 years here. So anyway, thanks for the diligence and hanging in there.
My apologies for not being specific, but my thanks to everyone that participated, included the staff.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing? All the Berg committee meetings are public meetings, and anyone is welcome to attend as well. Those are noticed, just so anyone that's interested in the subject knows they are welcome.
Okay. It's going to be 10:30 before long, and
I move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Staff recommendation includes the modifications of the committee that Ms. Shane pointed out? Yes. Okay. Yes. Any final comment from the board? Final public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We're going to take a 10-minute recess, which means we'll return here at 10:30 Tuolumne time and take our appointments. It's now 10:30 in Tuolumne County, and we have some 10:30 appointments. Would you read them, please?
Presentation on the library video project.
Okay.
Supervisor Hanfeld, I'm going to take the lead on this one.
Okay.
Hi, Maureen Frank, Deputy County Administrator, before you today as your library department head. The theme this year has always been in the library partnerships. And it started out in October when we had a retreat and we looked at how we can partner with different people in the community and how we could look at advertising or getting the word out to the community about all the wonderful things that the library does. One of the greatest partnerships we have is with our Friends of the Library, an awesome group of people led this year by their president, Tom Mannix. And talking to them about what we did in our retreat, where we wanted to go, kinds of the things that continuing to look kind of at budget cuts, but still wanted to look at providing the best possible services we could to the community. And working with Tom and his Friends of the Library group, we decided that how do we get the word out? And so one of the Friends members was Marley Powell, and Marley came up with the idea of partnering with Columbia College. And looking at one of the things that we could do is provide or work with some college students in developing a video about the library, who we are, what we do, where we are, kinds of things. And two, to give an opportunity to showcase, we did not want to go to just hire somebody out, but we wanted really to look at the college and knew that they had some young expertise out there and really capitalize on what they can put together for us. So we got engaged through the college with Edwin and Jesse, who came up, met with us, worked with the Friends of the Library, and developed a video that we would like to show to you today. This video, our goal with this video would be to show it to service clubs out in the community, and really twofold. Again, get out our services and make people aware of what we have. And two, anyone who wants to either volunteer for the library services that we have and the different jobs that are available for people, or two, be a member of the Friends of the Library. Like I said, it's an incredible group. They are wonderful supporters of the library. And so that was kind of our goal in putting together this video. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lynn.
Can you hear that?
Hear what?
Yeah.
I come to the library every couple days when it's open, mostly for my children. My daughter, who's 9 and a half, needs every couple days, she needs a nice big stack of books. And we come here and collect it. Either I bring all of them or I come by myself when they're in school. But then we also get picture books for my 4-year-old and 6-year-olds. My name's Kaylin. I come to the library for everything I need, from a job to tattoo order supplies to all the pictures that people give me for references, and I go home and make some money after I print out a cheap little copy of paper from them first. I come to the library and bring my children for the wonderful story times that they have. There's great stories and crafts that we enjoy. I also come to the library in the summer for the summer reading program where my daughter reads to the rescue dogs or the dogs in training.
evenings, and I like to come to the library at the end of a long, hard day and just relax and read a good story.
I come to the library to work on stuff on my computer and I come to look up on the yearbooks and sometimes read the newspaper.
My name is Gio, and I come to the library to read and pick out books and mostly have fun. And it's an awesome library. You gotta try it.
So it was an awesome project. Edwin and Jesse did an incredible job. We're really pleased with it. We hope this is the first of maybe some more videos that we'll make for the library that maybe will concentrate on different subject matters. The first one we learned a lot from, and just want to use it in a variety of ways. Do you want to talk about your experience with it?
So yeah, it was a really awesome...
State your name for the record.
My name is Jesse Wildunner, and just filming for Friends of the Library, and we really wanted to show the all different members side, the children, also the adults and everything, and also wanted to just show all the activities that they do from some of the things that you saw, such as just the game nights that they have for the adults, and also the quilting that they have from the different libraries, and just really broaden everyone's perception of what the libraries have to offer that the general people don't know about. So.
That's great.
Just a quick comment. I really enjoyed it. I honestly didn't realize that you could go up there and play dominoes at the library. I really, seriously, I think that's great.
So you want to schedule your time?
They don't gamble, do they?
No.
Is that a prerequisite?
I think it's great. I've got two questions. One is, what are you going to do with that video?
What we'll do with the video is take it out kind of on a road show. We'll take it to service clubs and in groups, and really try to make more people aware in the community that we're not just about books,
Okay.
that the variety of services.
How about putting it on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the second question I have is, are there other opportunities for other segments of our county government to leverage this same kind of opportunity, power, whatever?
I think so. Happy to share the experience that we had working with the college, and be glad to pass it along to other departments that want to take advantage of this.
I think recreation would be a great...
No, that was my thought, too, was recreation.
I just happen to know the department head.
I knew that.
Okay, any other comments?
Just real quickly, great job, great promotion. Last week before it got so hot and folks were looking for a place to cool off, I was at the senior center a couple times, and I was amazed driving through the parking lot. I think on one occasion I counted 45 cars, and the next day was like 52, and it was just random times. And so getting the word out there, the library is just a wonderful resource in our community. So good job, good partnership.
Great.
And Supervisor Brennan, county transit stops there. And often, so, yeah, library's a good citizen and a valuable asset. Anybody else? Public want to comment? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
We have 10:30, appointment number 2.
Consideration of approving Tuolumne County Behavioral Health Advisory Board Annual Report for fiscal year 2012-13.
I believe you're going to take a little setup time. 5 minutes. So if you need a break?
I need to get some off my desk.
So, when I went into the library,
We are ready.
We'll reconvene. Would you read item 2 of the 10:30 appointments one more time, please?
It is consideration of approving the Tuolumne County Behavioral Health Advisory Board Annual Report for fiscal year 2012-13.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Terry Easley. I am the chairman of the Behavioral Health Advisory Board. Thank you to the board for having us today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the time of staff for having us here. Okay, and let me see where I'm. Okay, Behavioral Health Board is made up of 5 people, including Supervisor Sherry Brennan. We do appreciate her assistance in our efforts. The Behavioral Health Advisory Board acts as the mental health board and serves as, and will serve as the Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board upon completion of our certification for drug Medi-Cal. The reason we're here today is because the California Welfare and Institution Code, Section 5604, establishes that each county shall have a board, and we're a small board, but that is acceptable with the legislation that we have at minimal 5 members. At least 1 member shall be a consumer. At least 1 member shall be a parent, spouse, sibling, adult child, or consumer who is receiving or has received mental health services. And, of course, we've got Sherry as our representative on the Board of Supervisors. We have a number of important items that we work on at the Behavioral Health Board. We review and evaluate the Tuolumne County mental health needs, the facilities, the services, and the special problems, including the impact and realignment of services in the state, from the state to the county. We give advice to the Board of Supervisors and to Rita, our Behavioral Health Director, in any aspects of the local mental health programs. We review any county agreements or contracts entered into pursuant to 5650. And we do submit this annual report, again, why we are here today. We are a behavioral health board, not just a mental health board, because of the integration of mental health and alcohol and drugs services. We must, at a minimum, provide managed care, crisis response, medication services, case management, placement, hospitalizations, and residential care. And the population served by contract is specific to Medi-Cal, which was something I didn't know when my family started facing mental health, and I did not realize that this is not an everybody thing. This is for a very targeted population. Behavioral health is responsible for a full array of health, drug, and alcohol outpatient services through Medicaid, realignment, alcohol and other drug funding, that's AOD, and the cost of higher levels of care, including psychiatric hospitalizations, residential facilities, and locked institutions, and the Mental Health Services Act, including the direct peer-supported services and community prevention efforts.
Just a quick.
Sure.
You want us to interrupt you and ask questions as you go?
Interrupt me all the time. I prefer that. I don't like reading to you. Go for it.
Okay, so who qualifies?
Who qualifies? Medi-Cal participants qualify for the full range of care, and I'm going to ask Rita if I say anything wrong to swat me across the face, because I don't do this every day. And then the entire community is eligible for some of the services through the Mental Health Services Act, outreach and engagement, prevention and early intervention. Those type of programs are available to the general community. But specifically, the case management, the intensive medical treatments are available to Medi-Cal customers. So did I get it right?
And indigent.
And indigent, which is, you have had more presentations on indigent care than you'd ever really want, I'm sure. So who is entitled to outpatient services? Mental health services are specialized medical services, and they exist to serve populations that are persistent mental illness, something that cannot be served by a primary care physician, and that are either Medi-Cal or indigent. They're that wired. How did the department perform? Last year, behavioral health served over 2,000 individuals, the bulk of them in mental health services, but about a quarter of them in alcohol and drug services. There were 628 crisis evaluations, mostly at the local hospital when somebody was brought in for evaluation, and 199 hospitalizations. Through the work, they were able to prevent 429 hospitalizations, which is a major cost, which is a good thing. And placements in facilities is currently 13. 5 years ago, it was 23. Those out-of-county facilities cost a lot of money. So this is very good work that they've been doing, being able to serve the people locally with local assistance. And it helps reduce costs and improve the availability of services to all of the individuals in the population served. In 2011, legislative changes were made that changed how some funding came through, and it was called 2011 realignment. And it gave more local control. Basically, it was a state budget. We're going to eliminate our mental health department. So they gave us the authority to do a lot of things. So what you're doing today is part of that. What you'll be doing next month is the Mental Health Services Plan, Mental Health Services Act plan. That is a portion of the funding, and the plan will be posted today for a 30-day review. We'll be holding the public hearing at the Behavioral Health Board next month, and it will be coming to you for approval. This approval used to be done at the state level. It is now done at the local level. And while you guys were discussing Oaklands and all those other fun things, I got to read the plan, and I was very impressed, and I think you will be too. So thank you very much for looking at it and helping us continue providing these services. This plan that is being released today is the Mental Health Services Act. Passage of Proposition 63 in 2004 enabled counties in California to receive 1% tax on personal income. And MHSA is the Proposition 63 funding, and it was used to expand, not supplant, but expand county mental health services. These funds are have to be used specifically, like any other. You can use them how they're designed to be used. And we, at the Behavioral Health Board, review and monitor the expenditures of the plans and the programs provided. There are a number of different main areas that the Mental Health Services Act provides. Prevention, earlier intervention, really, really important. If we can prevent mental health problems and treat them early, they do not get as chronic and as serious. Community services and support. That's a wonderful wraparound service, way to help people into the road to recovery. And it's a very important portion. And innovation programs. So with those three main parts of the Mental Health Services Act, that has been a important factor of utilizing these funds and bringing mental health services to the entire community, not just the people who are on Medi-Cal. One of the things I'm very excited about is the permanent supportive housing that was opened last year. Thank you very much for supporting the supportive housing. It is an important component to recovery, more than medication and treatment. It's highly important. Yes?
Just for the benefit of other people, because I think some of us at least know this, we have more than one of these facilities.
Oh, yes.
And how much more do we need?
You could double, triple, quadruple, and there still wouldn't be enough.
We have some financial obligations because we have people outside the county that
Right.
we're housing.
Right.
How many of those are there?
There are 13 outside the county right now, but most of them are in a fairly high level of care at this time. And as they are being assessed and moved into lower levels of care, they will be able to be returned home at a lower cost to us and a much higher quality of life and much greater opportunity to improve their quality of life and chance of recovery. So, but when you're really sick, you go to intensive care. We got to get them out of intensive care first, get them into rehab, and get them into before they can really be in supportive housing, permanent supportive housing.
Okay.
It is a process. Not everybody can make it out of intensive care, but it is a definite goal. We have 13 people right now out of this county that you guys are writing checks every month for to keep them safe, to keep them able to potentially get well. And that is a very important thing. But if we can provide them housing, that is the first important step to recovery. We've got other programs. We've got capital in programs. And if you haven't been to the Enrichment Center, we hope to have an open house at some point. Still getting hiccups done, but the Enrichment Center is a tremendous resource for our local community. It's being used today as a cooling center, and it's a wonderful facility for people to socialize. Getting back into society is learning to deal with people again, and interaction, and getting that support. And the Enrichment Center has some wonderful processes and support that they offer.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If you do have an open house, I'd really encourage everybody to go to that. I was lucky enough
She keeps
with...
promising me
I
as
know.
soon as she fixes the shower and
I
the
know.
vents and all the things that she has to do, and it's challenging.
Well, Supervisor Brennan and I were fortunate enough to tour the facility as part of our new supervisor orientation, and it's a wonderful facility, and I'd encourage people to go.
Yes. If those that aren't aware of and haven't worked closely with someone with serious mental illness, they isolate. People tend to not want to deal with anybody. Things are not right. And the ability to be in a safe place with people who accept you, to regain your socialization skills, to have people to support you, to have people to give you advice, to talk to you about how to apply for aid, how to get housing, how to deal with the issues. Some of the things that the Enrichment Center offers, a place to do your laundry, to take a shower. These are, when you're worried about these things, it's hard to focus on your mental health and your recovery. So the Enrichment Center provides an opportunity for many folks to help each other get better. And the people who were really ill last year are helping the people who are really ill this year get better and improve. It's a tremendous value to the community. The peer programs have proven statewide, nationwide to be very effective. Peers helping peers who understand, who've been there, and they can help each other get well. Another part of the Mental Health Services Act is information and technology. We have, there's a website, Network of Care, that is a tremendous resource for people wanting to get their own information. And then also we are participating in the health records expansion and being able to have more information online that can be utilized for record keeping, for projecting problems, for identifying issues, for, that big data thing. But you have to have the computerized records to do that. Workforce education and training. That is another part of the Mental Health Services Act. We had 5 persons in Tuolumne County attend a Master in Social Work program through the Mental Health Services Act. We've had leadership training. We have 5 behavioral health employees who are promoting their internal career development. We're trying to grow some of our own so that we can have the people in the future to provide the services. And we have a contracted supervisor with a license to oversee and sign off on some of the stuff done by some of our interns. Some of the things that the Behavioral Health Advisory Board have seen and observed in the last year is we really enjoy now getting a written monthly report. That's something we didn't get. We always had a verbal report for my first many years on the board, and I enjoy getting something in writing that I can share with other members of the community, because sometimes the numbers go in one ear and out the other, and I can't remember the specifics, and we get a written report every month. And we have, these reports have reflected developments on the Washington Street occupancy, the Enrichment Center, and all the things going on with the department. This report will be part of tomorrow's meeting. The Mental Health Services Act plan will be part of the report tomorrow. So it's a way of taking something with you, and that's something I've really appreciated. We've also completed certification for Medicare to improve our funding. Gotta nail down the funding. You gotta be very good at recovering costs from Medicare and Medi-Cal. So that has been an accomplishment to improve certification and continue that. I am doing nothing. Staff is preparing for the Affordable Care Act, including negotiating with the health insurance exchange programs. Boards love to take the credit and the staff does the work. You know that. Monthly meetings with Sonora Regional Medical Center to identify issues related to crisis management and coordinated care. We've had a lot of discussions on this, and this is a big issue. And we do appreciate the fact that the county is working closely with Sonora Regional to address these issues and work within the constraints that they are given. Staff has they've been reassigning staff, building a structure, and trying to improve efficiencies, maintain compliance, and make sure that they're using the best tools in their tool bag. Things that are coming up: healthcare reform. That's going to be a big one for mental health services in Tuolumne County and everywhere. Drug Medi-Cal. That is something that I'm looking forward to, increasing our ability to do billings and increase services in the drug Medi-Cal. Rural expansion of Medi-Cal managed care. Those are another future thing. The Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare, but ACA, expands Tuolumne County's pool of persons eligible for Medi-Cal. That's going to impact behavioral health. While they are viewed as a medical condition, there's funding stream doesn't seem to follow. It's going to be a real challenge. And so we're going to have a bigger pool of people to serve, but negotiations, work, and planning is going in so that the county will not be adversely impacted as much as we can. The Behavioral Health Department is contracting with the state for people that require services with Medi-Cal. So we will be meeting needs, but we will be doing it as judiciously as possible. Things that, as a behavioral board, and you will be looking at is, it does not appear that there are state or federal plans to expand the base allocation of funding. That's what I was saying. More people, no more money. With an increase in the number of persons eligible and no significant increase, it's going to require a strong emphasis on evidence-based practices and risk management. We've got to stay fiscally solvent. That's important. To accommodate increases in caseload, it will require more integration with primary health care and medications who are previously remained on the behavioral health list. Your general practitioner can prescribe medications for mental illness. That is our new innovations program, is to integrate these more. So mental health doesn't have to carry the full burden. It's an important concept and something that we're going to be working on in the future. It is our new innovations program under the Mental Health Services Act. Additional challenges. The department has had a high program staff turnover due to some promotions, retirements, and resignations. It's a new, younger workforce coming in. Got to grow them, got to get them up to speed, but it is something we need to be aware of and we need to work with. We need to and be monitoring. We have a very high rate of crisis and associated hospitalizations and placement. When the economy's bad, when there's negative things going on, mental health issues rise. And then we have the technological requirements and some of the data reporting and measurements. The state and federal government are getting more and more demanding about what they want to know about the people we serve. So we're going to have to become very good at recording the information about each and every individual and making sure that we track those appropriately. The Behavioral Health Board recommends encouraging the continued succession planning. We need to provide training opportunities. We need to plan for workforce demands. The Behavioral Health Board requests ongoing data and review. So we're asking for more information because that information is important to planning a good program. We recommend the monitoring under the realignment of 2011 when the state got rid of the state mental health oversight. We have to make sure as local entities we're being good stewards and we're watching. There used to be the state watchdog making sure that mental health services were being provided according to law. Now with the realignment, it's more up to us. We have to keep our eyes open. We have to pay attention. The Behavioral Health Board supports efforts to improve technology and improve access to care. You've only interrupted me a couple of times. Are there any other questions, anything I can offer you? I am not a professional in this field. My family has greatly benefited from behavioral health services, and I realize how important it is to families, to the community, and these are critical, and I really appreciate you hearing me today. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, just good report. You folks do some very important work. I hope you realize that. Two comments. First of all, I hope that as we go forward with the challenges of the future, that we do everything that we can do locally to make sure that we don't unnecessarily use resources that need to be devoted to the people that need the services in order to cut down some more trees and make some more reports, I guess is the easy way to say it. I know that you're getting asked for more and more information, probably on a daily basis, and my second comment is going to ask you for a little bit more information. But just remember the real important work is the work that you do with the people that need the services. My second comment is it's kind of in there, and I can get to it, but it would be nice if it was more explicitly presented on what you're doing, especially in the area of what your accomplishments are in making people more self-sufficient, more independent, so that I think the public would really like to know that that we're actually improving people's lives with these things. And I know you are. I'm not questioning that. I just think in future reports, if you could be a little bit more explicit with where we're succeeding in those areas.
Yeah. Well, the fact that 5 years ago we had 23 people in locked facilities out of county, and now we have 13, that's a significant improvement. Yep. And that does make a significant difference. And the Mental Health Advisory Board does get reports on these improvements and on the actual numbers. So we do monitor them for you, and we will try to bring you more information on that in the future. Somebody else?
Yes. comments mostly. First of all, you said you aren't a mental health professional. You certainly sound like one up there because you sure have a lot of
The
information.
college of a daughter that got bipolar disorder is quite a degree, and she, thanks to behavioral health type services, including in Tuolumne County, she is well, she is back in college, and recovery is possible. But you do get quite an education, and I appreciate the help and advice I've gotten from staff.
Well, we are certainly thankful that you are on the board and hope that you continue for a long time.
Thank you very much.
So, kind of to Supervisor Rotifer's comments about reporting, I guess that's probably one of the things that amazes me, or I find frustrating, is the level of reporting that these folks have to do on every minute detail that comes up. I would say that Rita does put together a report once a month that Terry spoke of, and I find it really useful, and she outlines, highlights what's going on, what's coming up. There are so many uncertainties out there still with the Affordable Care Act and even some of the state realignment issues. Rita, can you send that report to the entire board once a month? They may find it useful to read some of your updates. Maybe you're doing that already, I don't know.
I haven't done it as yet. By the way, my name's Rita Austin. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Department, and certainly that is part of public record. I would be more than happy to send that forward. And because I'm on the mic now, I wanted to thank Terry for her presentation. As the Behavioral Health Board, she's tasked with some very specific elements to report back to the board on an annual basis, and I really appreciate her time, energy, and effort, and I know it's in personal experience, it is a little bit discombobulating up there, so appreciate her efforts. Thank you.
Well, and again, another example of a volunteer in our county that is doing tremendous work for a lot of folks. You, Terry.
Yes, and I work in Modesto, and I'm going to go to work today.
God bless you. Couple comments. I would have liked it if you just started in the context of what you figured your mission and your vision were. But let me just ask you a simple question. What constitutes success?
Success for somebody with mental illness can be a number of things. It depends on the severity of their illness, the severity, the type of illness they have, the age of onset, the support systems they have. There are so many variables of success. Success can be anything from being able to have a professional position and respect in the community and be a contributing member of society, which many, many people with mental illness are doing every day. They are dealing with these issues despite them. Other people with other situations, other abilities, other strengths. Success may be living independently and taking care of your own cooking needs and more cleaning and having an animal and having friends and finding joy in life and giving other people pleasure. So it can be anything, because anybody with a disability has different strengths to bring. So the most important thing that I remember about recovery is regaining control of your life. Recovery is regaining the responsibility for yourself, because when you're mentally ill, sometimes you need others to care for you for a while. And recovery means the ability to have a life that you can love, you can be loved, that you can feel that you're important to somebody or something. I used to do the monthly newsletter for the National Alliance on Mental Illness for about 8 years, and I did a Getting to Know You column. And one of the gentlemen who was very severely disabled and had, but he was able to live independently with support. I asked him what he liked to do, what are your hobbies, and he said, well, I have a good singing voice, and he had an outstanding singing voice. He says, when I'm able, I go to convalescent homes and retirement places, and I sing for them. And he couldn't hold a job because of his disability. He had some cognitive things and some other issues. But he could go sing the songs of the era to people in a retirement home, and that gave him pleasure and joy. And he said, I can't sometimes make appointments because sometimes I just can't get out of bed. But I know if I call in the morning, they'll have me after lunch. And that for him was recovery. And he brought joy. I had others who said, I like being able to clean my own house and have my own space. And others go to college, graduate, and become functioning members of society who, because of stigma, which is a terrible problem, they don't tell people that they have a mental illness. But they deal with it, they stay on their medications, they do what they need to do like anybody with a disability would do, and you just don't make an issue of it. So everything can be recovery, but I honor anyone who has made these struggles because it's not easy. And anything that the county can do to help them, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? I think we need a motion to accept the report.
I move we accept the report.
Is there a second? Oh, I heard. Okay, Supervisor Royce seconded. Supervisor Gray made the motion. Any comment from the board, from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Safe travel to Modesto. Okay. We have a few minutes left today before noon. Can we do item 20, please?
Consideration of directing staff to process modifications to the design review boundaries for the communities of Twainhart, Tuolumne, Jamestown, and Columbia.
Good morning. Adam Paskowski, Supervising Senior Planner for the Community Resources Agency. On March 6th, your board created the Planning Commissions and Committees Task Force, and that task force reviewed the design review process in the county and the boundaries of the design review areas for 6 areas: the Jamestown, Columbia, Phoenix Lake Country Club Estates, Mueller Subdivision, Twainhart, and Tuolumne. The task force considered the boundary of the design review areas and recommended that they be reduced to encompass commercial areas and major transportation corridors. The task force recommended that staff prepare proposed changes to the boundaries and refer the proposals to existing design review committees for review and comment, which we did the past few months. The task force also recommended that the design review areas for Phoenix Lake Country Club Estates and Mueller Subdivision be eliminated entirely. On February 5th, your board considered and concurred with the recommendations of the task force. So, starting with the Columbia Design Review boundary, the Columbia Design Review area currently consists of 704 parcels within its existing boundary. The Design Review area stretches along Parrots Ferry Road all the way to Highway 49. It also includes the areas around the state park. Within the community of Columbia, staff recommended that the properties along Parrots Ferry Road corridor and surrounding the Columbia State Park remain within the design review boundary, with the exception of removing the properties on the north side of Columbia along Parrots Ferry Road near Umber Way, which is up here, because they are discontinuous from the rest of the design review boundary of Columbia. If you notice, there is a gap right here. In addition, the Columbia Airport is recommended to be removed from the design review boundary since it's owned by the county. Under this proposal, 300 parcels are proposed to be removed. At its meeting on April 11, 2013, the Columbia Area Planning Commission reviewed staff's recommendations on amending the Columbia Design Review boundary. They requested that only the Columbia Vista Estates, Marble Quarry Townhouses, and 4 parcels behind the Marble Quarry RV Park, along with the Columbia Airport, be removed, or except actually a portion of the Columbia Airport be removed. So those portions are up here, these parcels, and here's the airport. The commission also requested that all the properties along Damon Road and all the properties along the northeast side of Parrots Ferry Road from North Airport Road to Silver Springs Road be added into the design review boundary. Those properties are located up here and right here. The Columbia Area Planning Commission made this recommendation to fill in the gaps of the existing design review boundary, in addition to add in undeveloped parcels along Parrots Ferry Road. Under the Commission's proposal, 106 parcels will be removed and 18 parcels would be added. Staff recommends the previous version, staff's version, for amending the design review area for Columbia instead of the Commission's, because the direction from the Board of Supervisors was to reduce the boundaries of the design review area to encompass commercial areas and major transportation corridors and not expand the existing design review area. So moving on to Jamestown. The Jamestown Design Review area consists of 289 parcels within the existing boundary. And it stretches along Highway 108 from approximately Rolling Hills Boulevard to just past 5th Avenue and extends to the east of the highway to 5th Avenue. Within the community of Jamestown, staff recommended to remove the properties located on the north and south side of Jamestown because they were on the outer fringes, and several parcels along or adjacent to Rocco Park because they are county owned. The recommendations for removal were located up here and on the south side, and then here's up here's some county owned property. At its meeting on April 10, 2013, the Jamestown Area Planning Commission reviewed staff's recommendations and requested that no changes be made to the boundary. The Commission stated that there may be future development along the highway corridor and that 5th Avenue may become a major corridor to Railtown. After attending that meeting and hearing the statements from the Commission, staff concurs that the Jamestown Area Planning Commission on not amending the boundaries of the design review area and that the existing boundaries would be retained. In this case, the existing boundaries do conform to the direction of your board to retain commercial areas and major transportation corridors within the design review boundaries. Next, we move to Twain Harte. Twain Harte currently consists of 368 parcels within its existing design review boundary. And it stretches along Twain Harte Drive from as well as Cedar Pines Avenue, and from Twain Harte Drive to the west of Golf Club Drive. Cedar Pines Avenue is located here. Twain Harte Drive runs all the way through. Within the community of Twain Harte, staff recommended to retain parcels within the design review boundary along Twain Harte Drive, Fuller Road, and Wakingoli Road. Parcels that are proposed to remove includes those along Freedom Way, Freedom Way, Cedar Pines Avenue, East Avenue, Golf Club Drive, Marquise Drive, Fireside Drive, and Mono Drive. So all those parcels are located here, up there, and up here, and then again Cedar Pines over here. This proposal would remove 152 parcels from the Twain Harte Design Review boundary. The Twain Harte Design Review Plan Advisory Committee met on April 1st, 2013, and recommended approval to amend the Twain Harte Design Review boundary as presented. When Staff was preparing this memo. We've noticed that there is one parcel that should also be recommended to be removed, which is assessed parcel number 48-340-14, which is adjacent to Black Oak School. That parcel is located right here. It's recommended to be removed because it's offset from Twain-Hart Drive and not actually along Twain-Hart Drive, which is a major corridor, or the main corridor through Twain-Hart. This would increase the number of parcels to remove to 153 parcels. In the Tuolumne Design Review area, the current boundary consists of 716 parcels, which consists of the town site of Tuolumne from the west side property to Cedar Street and primarily from Maple Avenue to Buchanan Road. Staff provide the Tuolumne Design Review Plan Advisory Committee with 2 proposals on reducing the design review boundary to provide options on how much of the existing design review boundary they prefer to have removed. The first proposal recommended removing all parcels along Miramonte Road, Buchanan Road, and First Avenue. All those parcels are located up here. And in the middle of those parcels is the Mueller subdivision, which is proposed to be, or is eliminated also. So with this option, along with this, we would be proposing to remove county-owned property along Veterans Memorial Hall, which is located right in the middle of Tuolumne. With this proposal, 76 parcels would be removed from the boundary. The second proposal includes everything that's in the first proposal for Tuolumne, with the addition of removing all parcels north of Woolworth Avenue, east of Birch Street, west of Cherry Valley, and west of Cherry Loop, and west of Oak Street, along with all parcels south of Maple Avenue and east of Locust Street from the boundary. So the new boundary in this recommendation would include this area. This proposal would remove 273 parcels from the Tuolumne Design Review boundary. At its meeting on April 25th, 2013, the Tuolumne Design Review Plan Advisory Committee reviewed staff's recommendations and requested that no changes be made. The reason for this was that since the Tuolumne is unique in the sense that the town was built in a grid pattern that radiates outward, that was their reason to keep the existing boundary in place. We also provided a third option for your board to consider on reducing the design review boundary for Tuolumne. This third option is more focused on the core of Tuolumne and the commercial and high-density residential uses. This option limits the design review boundary to Cherry Valley Boulevard to the west, Will Avenue to the south, and Cedar Street to the east, and retains the existing north boundary. So there are parcels that would remain pretty much in this square. This option would remove 399 parcels from the Tuolumne Design Review area. The areas that are proposed to remove include the Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indians property and a majority of the low-density residential parcels. Staff is recommending this option because it most closely reflects the direction of your board to retain only the commercial use areas and parcels along the major transportation corridor. So, to wrap everything up, the process to remove parcels from the design review area entails rezoning the parcels to eliminate the design review combining district. After receiving direction from your board, staff will present this to the Tuolumne County Planning Commission with a notice public hearing to allow the public to speak on the changes. And therefore, it's recommended that your board retain the existing boundaries for the Jamestown design review area at this time and direct staff to process modifications to the design review boundaries for Columbia based on the staff's recommendation, with Twain-Hart, the staff recommendation number 2, which includes that additional parcel, and Tuolumne staff recommendation number 3, which is on the PowerPoint right now, which is the more focused urban core design review area.
Questions? Comments?
I'm happy with my district.
Any public comment?
Kind of.
Okay.
Bites out of it.
Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
On what? You're moving on.
Staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation.
I'll second the motion, but I've got some questions.
I can withdraw it for now.
Okay.
If you have.
Can you go over in some detail on the Columbia, what the discussion was at the Area Planning Commission? I know I've read the dialogue that is in the 3-ring binder, but can you just kind of expand a little bit on that?
In this area, for the reason for them to keep the property of the airport within the design review area is that there are, along Technology Drive, buildings that are the airport hangars. They're all located there.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep that in for design review purposes, and in case the property between the airport to Springfield Road ever gets sold off and developed, that it's protected underneath the design review.
You can ignore adding anything because
Okay.
I'm not interested in that, but any of the deletions that were questioned by him.
They were fine removing this area because it's Columbia Vista Estates. It's already developed. They don't see any issues. It's further out from the state park, so they didn't have any issues with that. The other areas I'm referring back to staff's recommendation. They want to keep all this in because although it may not be visible from the main corridor, it's still areas that could be developed or potentially more developed, and they just didn't feel like the need to remove parcels.
Sector just to the north of the park. Yeah, that one.
They didn't provide any real reasons on keeping it, just that if it's there, that they want to keep it now instead of removing it.
Okay.
Are you prepared for a motion now?
Yeah, you want to remake your motion?
Are you good?
I'm good.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Rodover. Any final questions, comments? Public.
Actually, I just noticed one thing.
Ask the question.
Sorry, first of all.
It's important.
Tuolumne, from recommendation 2 to 3, I noticed that a lot of the public areas, like the park, are changed on that. What was the reason for that?
It was limiting or bringing the design view boundary to.
You see, like where the baseball field.
Mitchell Avenue, right? We can, to your recommendation, we can take out the county-owned properties too.
I don't know if it's necessary. I just noticed that in the first 2 recommendations it was excluded, and then in this one it was included. So I wasn't sure what the logic was behind that.
One of the reasons, just take another look at it, because it was such a more concentrated design review area, to us it seemed logical to keep those parcels in. Your board's policy has always been that you would follow the same rules as a developer anyway, so that, again,
Sure.
It just makes sense to me that you have a very compact design review area, and those buildings would influence that area, and you'd want to be consistent with your design guide.
Okay. And what is the reason for that one little island that's excluded right there? That's kind of a weird spot.
This one right here?
Yeah.
It's not, that's the Tuolumne Memorial Hall, and it's not currently in the design
that's
review
the hall
boundary.
right there?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
And just a comment, in the future, it would be really nice if I had a picture of before and after instead of the crosshatches. And the reason is differentiating crosshatches from roads and some other things that are lines that are on there. It was really, really hard for me to piece my way through the map and figure out what was in and what was out.
Okay.
So if you just, I mean, you can do that too, but if I just had a current and then option 1, option 2, to take a look at it would help.
Okay, you still satisfied with your motion?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll get to look at it again.
Okay, any final questions, comments? Anything from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. With the indulgence of the board, I would like to continue the meeting and see if we can't get through items 21 and 22 before we break for lunch. We've got staffing here waiting, and I'd like to get through those if I could.
Okay, 21 is consideration of approving a provider service agreement between Tuolumne County Behavioral Health and Doctors Medical Center.
Good morning. Rita Austin, Director of Behavioral
Good afternoon.
Health. Yes, what?
I said good afternoon.
Oh.
It's okay.
Yes, and good afternoon also. I'm before you this morning to request that there be an approval of an agreement between Behavioral Health Department and Doctors Medical Center. Doctors Medical Center is the closest acute psychiatric unit for inpatient hospitalization of the residents of Tuolumne County. As you're well aware, is that since the closure of 2009, we have contracted externally for all of our inpatient unit services. Since this is the closest service, we really seek to access those facilities that are closest for family, for community, or being able to transport back to be able to communicate with the staff of those facilities. This contract's a little bit unusual in so much that it is a 3-year contract with a maximum amount of $300,000 per year for a total of $900,000 over a 3-year period. The purpose of this negotiation, when I was working with Doctors Behavioral Health, there's a standard 5% increase per year in the cost of an inpatient bed, essentially, per day. And with a 3-year contract, we were able to lock in a 3% increase, which can be significant over the period of time. We have an annual budget for inpatient psychiatric expenses of $524,000. I am very hopeful that we are able to come in significantly under that with some of our ongoing efforts, such as we were presented earlier today. With those particular features, I am coming before you to recommend that the Board of Supervisors approve this provider services agreement, that we continue with Doctors Behavioral Health for a 3-year period from July 1st, 2013 to July 30th of 2016 to provide the acute psychiatric inpatient services and not to exceed $300,000 per year.
Questions? Comments? Public? Chair would entertain a motion.
I move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Gray. Any final comments or questions? Public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 22, please.
Consideration of approving a contract with Behavioral Interventions, BI, Inc. for the day reporting center services to include electronic monitoring equipment and setup.
Good afternoon, Adele Arnold, Probation Chief and Chair of the Community Corrections Partnership Board. Thank you so much for cutting into your lunch hour and allowing me to go before that. I appreciate it. I just want to make a very brief comment in regards to the presentation this morning on the Big Dreams Park. Please remember that our probation work release crews would be available at any time to help with the takedown of equipment, putting in new equipment, cleanup. That's what they're there for, and it's a great project and would be good community.
That's a delightful out-of-order comment.
We aim to please.
A bonus.
On this matter, I am before you because our contract with BI, which is the contract agency that runs our day reporting center and our intensive supervision services for our post-release community supervision population and our high-risk population, as determined on risk assessment scores, is the contract was due to expire June 30th. We had extended it, thought we were smart. We got that contract in place. However, it is a process, not an event, to get our CCP plan together, and so we wanted to get this contract before you so we had seamless services. We are switching as we speak because the CCP Executive Board did approve the contract back on June 14th in order to get the documents ready to bring before you. So in this contract, it is just a part of our CCP plan. We will be coming back before you probably end of July or the first board meeting in August with the remainder of our plan. This contract is an expanded contract. This year we are adding in increased spaces. We're going from 50 slots in the program to 75 at any given time. We're adding a substance abuse component, which is a COG program. It's treatment and education groups, and that was added because we're finding on our risk assessment scores, and as we look at data about recidivism, the number one criminogenic need we need to address is substance abuse and their likelihood to reoffend based on that need. It is directly tied to recidivism. So we want to provide some intensive services to that population to help them in the recovery prospect and in their treatment and their ventures. We'll be teaming, of course, with behavioral health, who is part of the CCP and part of our other programming, to look at residential, if necessary, and other services that will transition back into the community program also. So we've added that component. We've also gone back to them for our electronic monitoring equipment, which was something we wanted to do initially. However, their equipment didn't really work well in the community. They have worked with local providers, our Golden State Cellular and AT&T, to make sure that their equipment works in the community. It isn't ideal. It works as good as 3M, not much better, but those are some of the issues we deal with in the foothill communities. So they will be taking over the electronic monitoring program, and with that, they will be adding staff to the site to help monitor. They'll be doing the hookups, they'll be taking the bracelets off, they'll be setting the computer programming up and monitoring 24/7 on those people. So this contract has jumped in price. It has gone from $19,700 a month to $32,500 a month, but it is also going to be providing additional services, and we are working right now with the jail to be able to bring some of these services into the jail. I want you to know, as the jail gets ready to apply for Senate Bill 1022, they points on that RFP, they have to be able to demonstrate that they are providing some level of programming, be it, there's little space in there. We can modify these programs to take some of the included day reporting center programs inside the jail and then work with them as they progress to get them out into the community. So that's a very big enhancement. The undersheriff and the sheriff are very pleased about that. And we will be continuing to develop those programs. We'll probably be adding another component called JEEP, which is Jail Employment and Education, which can also be started in the jail and worked as part of the transition program out into the community as they come out and participate in our day reporting center. So, speaking very quickly, this is a 26-month contract. To allow us to continue to lock in the prices for our EMP equipment and our contract rates. Either side can get out with a 30-day exit clause if need be. If the money were to disappear or there are other problems, we can also go back to the table and negotiate additional services. So our contract is going from an annual rate of $240,000 to $390,000 annually. This year, it will go to $364,450 because there's a 2-month startup in order to get clients assessed and to get the staff on board to start the substance abuse component. So,
questions? I got one here, and then
just This is funded by the AB 109 money, that's correct?
Entirely, yes.
Thank you.
That was my question.
There's a lot of things associated with AB 109 that a lot of us don't like. I think anyone that has been down to the Day Reporting Center knows that the Day Reporting Center are alternatives to incarceration programs. All of those things are some success stories in AB 109. And I thank you for all the work that you and the probation department do. And BI is a great partner in that. And I fully support the request for approval of this contract.
Ms. Arnold, the increase from 50 to 75, you contemplate fully utilizing that 75?
I do. We're also in some negotiations with parole about the possibility of having some of their local parolees participate in that program, and would give us an opportunity to sell them some of those spots to enhance our program and to recoup some of the money for our program. So I do see that. We have a lot of high-risk offenders that are not 109 offenders, but 109 money doesn't preclude us from serving other high-risk probationers that have not benefited from some of the types of services we've had, so we're going to be including them in the program as well.
The governor is, how shall I say, resisting the court order for another 10,000 prisoners.
We support that very much.
I do too. Thank you. But what I'm concerned about is that court order adds additional stress on programs exactly like this, I assume.
We certainly could, yes.
Okay, so you contemplate us potentially exceeding the 75? The need exceeding 75. Let me put it that way.
It's very possible.
Okay.
Other counties that are utilizing the programs of BI often set up waiting lists. We may have to do that if it comes to that, or we may have to negotiate additional beds.
Well, the reason I'm asking these questions, I just think it's important the public understand the immense amount of stress that the AB 109 programs have placed on the local people. Earlier, someone mentioned realignment, and people should understand that realignment is, anytime it's used by the state government, is little more than a euphemism for transferring responsibility and accountability for a program they don't want to take, and not necessarily giving us all the funding we need. In this case, I guess we're doing okay, but not necessarily giving us all the funding, and certainly not, the exercise is not always intuitively obvious, let me put it that way. So I thank you very much for what you're doing. This is the right thing to do, I think. Okay, any further questions, comments?
Just one quick question. Can you expand on, you said that you were going to be working with behavioral health. Is that on placing them in some housing, or how is that?
Currently, if there is an offender that is in need of residential drug and alcohol treatment, we work with behavioral health to see if they may be housing may be available for them, and hospitalization, and then getting them back in the community as quickly as possible. So that will continue to be in place.
Okay. Any final comments, questions? Chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the contract with Behavioral Interventions, Inc. for the Day Reporting Center services to include electronic monitoring equipment and set up in an amount not to exceed $390,000 annually.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Royce. Any final comments, questions? Public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Board of Supervisors will take a recess until 1:30, at which point we'll hear our 1:30 appointments. Thank you very much.
Public hearing to consider Sanguinetti mitigated negative declaration, ordinance amending section 17.06.020 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, tentative subdivision map, resolution for application to the Tuolumne County Local Agency Formation Commission, and indemnification agreement.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Bev Shane, Community Resources Director. The Sanguinetti family owns several parcels off along Old Wards Ferry Road in Tuolumne County. Today, they're asking for your consideration to allow them to subdivide a site that consists of 7 parcels and totals 163.2 acres. The site is located at 18249, 18441, and 18501 Old Wards Ferry Road. In order to divide their property, they're asking for your support today to rezone the site to 122.3 acres of RE5 zoning, residential state 5-acre minimum, and 40.9 acres of open space. The open space is proposed to protect oak woodlands and also cultural resources on the site. Through the environmental review process under the California Environmental Quality Act, a cultural resource study was conducted and 10 cultural resources sites were identified, 5 of which are Native American sites. Some of the sites, including the Kincaid Ditch, was found to be eligible for the National Registers. Others were found to be potentially eligible for the State Register. And so those sites, as well as the oak woodlands, are proposed to be preserved in the open space zoning. This project also entails tentative subdivision map TSM 12-012 to divide the property into 14 parcels, which will range in size from 5.3 acres to 38.2 acres. This project, because new roads will be constructed within the subdivision, which will not be accepted by your board pursuant to your resolution, includes a resolution of application to LAVCO to form a county service area as one of the options they have to fund maintenance of those interior subdivision roads. They don't have to form the CSA, but by having your board adopt the resolution, it streamlines the LAVCO process for the applicant. And finally, the project includes an indemnification agreement between your board and the Sanguinetti family, and the signed original agreement has been given to your board clerk. It was received late last week and was not included in your agenda package as a signed version. The Tuolumne County Planning Commission considered this project at a public hearing on June 5th. At that time, the Commission heard from the applicant's representative, Bob Osborne, who presented the project and responded to questions from the Commission. There was no opposition to the project at that hearing. During the opportunity for people to speak neither for nor against, John Buckley, representing CSERC, did state that he did not oppose the project, but he suggested that the Commission consider recommending alternative zoning for parcels 3, 4, and 5. Those are the larger acreage parcels on the western side of the property that have steep slopes. He suggested that perhaps there be a 10-acre minimum zoning for those parcels. After hearing from Mr. Buckley and hearing no opposition, the Tuolumne County Planning Commission did recommend approval of this project by unanimous vote with no changes to the project as presented. Duke York, our Deputy CRA Director, is here to answer any questions you might have about the project, and I'll also be happy to answer your questions.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions from any member of the board?
Mr. York, in reading the information here, there seemed to be some concern about whether or not the Lambert Lake Road would be used for this project in any way, shape, or form. And could you clarify what the outcome of that discussion was?
Duke York, Deputy Director for the Roads Division. Lambert Lake Road has what they define in our ordinance code as an emergency access road, and that emergency access road, by definition, is only for emergency vehicles. So the public use of that road is limited by that definition. There is an electronic gate on that road with signs in front of the gate telling people it's for emergency services only. but it is motion activated on one side, but from the other side, they can't get through without a code.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so let's open the public hearing. Are there any proponents of the project like to speak?
Board members, Bob Osborne, and I represent the Sanguinetti family in their endeavor to complete the subdivision project. And pretty simple, 7 existing lots, 14 when we're finished. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of Mr. Osborne at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the project? Okay. Is there anybody who wants to speak opposed to the project? Seeing none, I guess I close the public hearing. Okay, so members of the board, is there any final comments or questions?
District 4.
It is District 4, the last I checked.
All right. I'd be happy to move that we approve the negative declaration on findings A, B, C, D, E, and F. Approve the zone change, RZ 12-004, A, B, and C. Approve the tentative subdivision map, subject to conditions 1 through 89, and A, B, and C. And adopt a resolution of application to the LAFCO to form a county service area based on findings A, B, and C, and D, and approve the indemnification agreement by and between the county and Tuolumne.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Grace, second by Supervisor Royce. I neglected to ask County Council if she'd like to comment about that court ruling.
Would you like me to do that now?
Well,
I do not.
I'd like you to either comment on it now or tell us it has no bearing on this.
Having reviewed the case, it does not have any bearing on the applications that are before you today. I will be putting together a memo to your board addressing both the case and its place in the constitutional framework.
Okay. As long as we're at it, does it have any bearing on any of the cases we're hearing today?
No.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make that clear. Okay. Any final questions, comments? Public, last chance. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Public hearing to consider IAE Investments LLC resolution for general plan amendment and special ordinance amending section 1706020 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code.
Good afternoon, Adam Piskowski, Senior Planner for the Community Resources Agency. Before you this afternoon is an application from IAE Investments for a resolution for a general plan amendment and a zone change to amend the land use designation and zone on the property from commercial to mixed use. The property is located at 18169 Main Street in Jamestown and consists of 2 parcels, 316202 and 316203. The Jamestown Area Planning Commission met on June 12, 2013, and recommended approval of the general plan amendment and zone change, as well as approval of the conditional use permit CUP 13001 and conditional use permit CUP-H 13-001 and the design review permit for the construction of 2 two-story mixed-use buildings on the project site. The Jamestown Area Planning Commission is the decision-making body for the conditional use permits and the design review permit, and there has been no appeal on their decision. Although the agenda packet includes information about the use permits and design review permit, the only items that your board will be taking action on are the general plan amendment and the zone change. During the application process, there was opposition to the project, mainly from the next door owners, and their issue mainly consisted of their driveway easement and access onto their properties. And as part of the conditions of the project, that has all been taken care of, and if you have any questions or any clarification needed, staff is available to answer.
Okay, any questions of Adam? Go ahead.
I just have one question. During the Local Area Planning Commission hearing, was any discussion made with respect to redesigning that such that the parking was in the rear of the building?
There was discussion about it, and the Planning Commission recommended approval as presented, with the buildings keeping the same footprint as they are out there today.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if they did redesign that, if there would be added cost because they're not using the current footprint? Okay, thanks.
Yes, there would be.
Okay. Any further questions? Well, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in favor of the project that'd like to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason McGinley, and I'm the owner of the subject property in Jamestown. I believe we have before you a very solid project to redevelop a property that has been left to many years of neglect. And what we're proposing is kind of a mixed-use, 5 small retail units, well-suited to kind of tourist-type or small professional offices, as well as 5 studio-style apartments, very high-end studio apartments. The plan itself does have the support of the Jamestown Area Planning Commission, as well as the Community Resources Agency staff. And I look forward to your review and support here today. I do have my architect and planner here with me in case you had any specific questions on the project.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Any other people in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Seeing none, is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Anybody just want to say something? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Supervisor Rutherford.
I'd like to move on staff recommendation.
Second. I just want to make a comment if I could.
Certainly.
I believe that this is a really good project for use of some neglected areas. It's going to add customers and jobs and stuff to the community, and it's unique with those studio apartments, and I think it's going to be a real good sound project if it goes forward as you have it planned.
And it gives a facelift to the...
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Okay, any further comments? Motion by Supervisor Rutherford, second by Gray. Pardon? Do you want to say something? Oh, did she second it?
She beat.
Oh, okay, well, I couldn't tell. I heard the stereo over here. I thought it was you.
It's those soft, dulcet tones.
Okay, we'll give Supervisor Brennan credit for seconding. Okay. Last chance from the public. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. To read item 3, please.
Public hearing to consider Brown mitigated negative declaration, resolution to change the general plan, land use designation, special ordinance amending section 1706020 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, tentative subdivision map, plan unit development permit, and indemnification agreement.
Ms. Shane.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Edward and Carla Brown have purchased the Eagle Ridge subdivision site. It is comprised of 34.9 acres and is located on Eagle Ridge Drive West off of Tuolumne Road. This was the site of the approval of the Eagle Ridge subdivision by the Board of Supervisors in 2008. The subdivision is comprised of 11 parcels of 3 acres each. The Browns are interested in constructing the Eagle's Nest Independent Living Facility on the site rather than selling the individual parcels and having them for single-family homes. The Eagle's Nest Independent Living Facility is proposed to be comprised of 160 assisted care units housed in 2 separate buildings with 80 units in each building. There will also be apartment units totaling 90 units that will be divided among various structures, including 3 duplexes, 21 fourplexes on the site for a total of 24 structures. They'll also have a common area with facilities for the residents, including some recreational amenities, and eventually there will be a doctor's office on the site to serve the residents of the development. In order for them to develop their independent living facility, they are asking for your support today for a general plan amendment to change the land use designation from homestead residential, which is a 3-acre minimum parcel size, to mixed use, for an associated zone change to 20 acres of mixed use, 14.4 acres of open space, and 3/10 acre of open space 1. The project includes an additional 10.5 acres of open space than currently exists on the site. Open space was set aside at the time the subdivision map was approved, but as part of this project, the applicant hired Helix Environmental Planning to do an oak woodland assessment of the site, and it was through that consulting firm that the recommendation came to add an additional 10.5 acres of open space to protect oak woodlands on the site. The project also entails dividing the site into 11 parcels, and that they will, comprise of 11 parcels into 30 parcels, and the parcels are going to be subdivided so for financing purposes and potentially for selling some of the units, but they will be under the duplexes and the fourplexes, and then a lot of common area, and again, that will facilitate financing the project as it is constructed. A planned unit development permit is also before you today that would actually authorize the construction of the independent living facility, and the project includes an indemnification agreement between your board and the applicant. Now, at the Tuolumne County Planning Commission hearing on this project on June 5th, the commission heard from the applicant's representative, Cecil Dillon, who gave a lot of details about the project and responded to questions. The Planning Commission did hear opposition to the project. The opposition focused on whether or not there was adequate parking on the site, the additional traffic that would be generated by the project, and the potential impacts to Tuolumne Road. There are concerns now about turning left from some of the existing parcels along Tuolumne Road that the opponents said would exacerbate the situation, creating potential safety hazards. There was concern about the drainage from increased development on the site to neighboring property, primarily the mobile home park, Cascade Mobile Home Park, that is located adjacent to the site and is below the existing detention-retention basin, which is proposed to be expanded as part of this project. And finally, there were just concerns about compatibility of this higher density type development and the next to Lambert Lake, which features large acreage parcels. So those were the primary concerns that were expressed. Mr. York was in attendance at the meeting and responded to the questions about parking, traffic, and drainage. And after deliberating and considering this item, the Tuolumne County Planning Commission did recommend approval by unanimous vote. They recommended a very minor change to Condition 22 of the tentative subdivision map and to Condition 16 of the PUD permit. Basically, they found that some wording had been left out, and again, it's a very minor change, which are noted in my memorandum to you dated June 19th. So with that, Mr. York and I will be happy to answer your questions about the project.
Any questions, Ms. Shane? Go. No. Oh, looking at you.
I'll turn my mic on this time.
Supervisor Gray.
We have some potential for, obviously, for additional traffic, but we are planning on putting some stoplights in on the road here in the very near future that should allow for a calming effect, I would think. Looking at the map where the open space is placed, it appears that there's going to be a pretty good buffer between Lambert Lakes and what's going on there. And as far as the parking question, as I recall, they have to have X number of parking spots per square feet of building, so that question has been answered and covered. So it appears to me that the questions on the opposition side have been well answered within the document.
Okay, any further comments or questions of Ms. Shane? Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing, and anybody like to speak in favor of the project?
Mr. Chair and board members, I'm Cecil Dillon with Dillon Murphy Civil Engineers. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Brown on this project, the property owners, and I think we had a very detailed discussion at the Planning Commission, and I read the minutes, and then I've heard Bev's description of the project just now. I think all the details have been covered. We provided all the studies that were requested, and certainly the one thing that stayed true through this whole process is there a definite need for this type of use within the Sonora area. Everyone we've spoken to, from staff to people on the street, they're even calling my office to see when the facility is going to be opened. And I think it's going to provide a great benefit to the area. And like I say, the details have been discussed, but I'm certainly here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions at this point?
Just a question, if we do approve this today, when are you going to get started?
Well, the market analysis shows that it'll take probably 24 to 36 months to fill it up once it's built. We do have 3 environmental studies to do with the raptor and the trees, so we would not be able to start construction till, I believe it's October. We may begin grading at that point, or attempt to. First of all, we have to get our plans in and get them approved, but if not, it would look like a spring project next year.
Okay. Any more? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the project? Okay. Anybody want to speak opposed to the project? I suppose I can ask if anybody wants to just say something. Okay. Given that, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Any final questions or comments? Chair would entertain a motion. District 4.
Yes, all good things happen in District 4, apparently. I'm in support of this project.
Wait a minute.
Well, a little bit of fun.
Park this morning.
A little bit everywhere, I guess.
All good things, huh?
I'm prepared to move on staff recommendations instead of reading the whole page, if that's all right with council. This certainly will fulfill a need in Tuolumne County. Again, provide jobs and a really good project, something I think I'm looking forward to.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Supervisor Gray made the motion, and a second from Supervisor Rotifer. Any final questions, comments? Public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 4, please.
Consideration of adopting the master resolution amending the Tuolumne County General Plan.
Mr. Chairman, because you have approved 2 amendments to the Tuolumne County General Plan, we ask that you adopt the master resolution to enact those changes. You've already made the findings when you approved the individual projects, so it just needs a motion to adopt the master resolution.
No good deed ever goes unpunished. Yeah, I know.
Second.
Motion to adopt. Second. Any questions or comments? So motion by Grace, second by Supervisor Brennan. Anyone in the public want to say anything about this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay. We'll go back to item 23.
Reports.
Okay. Let's start with the CAO's office.
Sure. Just as you heard in public comment, the CAO's office will be continuing to watch and monitor the weather throughout this weekend. Tracy Riggs is on a daily conference call with the state in regards to what their predictions are and what they're watching for. So as the week progresses, one of the things they kept telling us is the weather was going to be excessive probably through until Friday. The one thing, though, that has now creeped into the conditions is alerts in regards to thunderstorms. So today, tomorrow, and Friday, they're really concerned about it, including thunderstorms that could even reach the valley by Thursday into Friday. So just want to let you know that we're monitoring the situations, and as events warrant, either Tracy or myself will be getting a hold of you if we need to. That's it.
Okay. Let's go to District 3.
Oh, that would be good. You caught me off guard. All right. On the 19th, we had an integrated regional water management plan meeting, and this has been one of my more challenging committee assignments. It's been slow moving, although it is moving ahead, making progress. The next step is going to be the formation of a potential JPA, and I've talked a little bit with our staff about our involvement in that and how we come into play. There's issues with their plans that they've been adopting, and they require all the affiliate agencies that are part of the MOU for the original IRWIMP to adopt the plan. And so we had some questions about that, how that affects our land use policies, and that's something I think I'll actually be talking with Carlin about in the future. So anyways, I look forward to that project being somewhat completed and moving to the next phase. Later that day, I had office hours. On the 20th, I attended the Planning Commissioners Luncheon, and once again, I want to thank all those people for their dedicated service. It was a very nice event held to thank them. And then on the 25th, I met with our sheriff and Supervisor Hanvelt and did some demos on some weapons and some potential stuff for the Sheriff's Department. That's my report.
Okay. Supervisor Rutherford.
Sure. On the 19th, I went to a joint session of the Mountain Counties Water Resources Association and the Association of California Water Agencies. Quite illustrative. We had a discussion on the Bay Delta Management Plan. What did he call it? The big, I won't go into it, but it's basically a euphemism for the water tunnels. It was a very nice and slanted presentation that took a lot of heat from the audience, and the presenter was basically refused to answer some very tough questions other than to say they had considered it, but did not elucidate on how they had considered some of the very, very serious and major concerns. I still don't know how you take water out of the north part of the Delta, run it underneath the Delta, bring it out the south end of the Delta, and not affect the cleansing action that that water flowing through the Delta would have, and not affect the salinity in the Delta. In my view, what will happen is the salinity will rise. There will be some effects on native species, and the fix will be to direct that all the upstream reservoirs get flushed down to adequately flush the Delta in the future, which will have a huge impact on water quantity, water quality, and the economy of the entire Sierra foothills, northern Sierra foothills, central and northern Sierra foothills. Anyway, a somewhat disturbing meeting, but at least all the people in the audience were singing one song and in four-part harmony. Later that evening, I attended the Columbia Area Advisory Council, and after that, I participated in a meeting of some county wine producers, trying to get a little cooperative process going in that industry. On the 20th, with, I believe, all of us, if I remember correctly, I did attend the luncheon honoring the participants on the local area planning commissions. And as Evan said, it was a very nice event. They're not here, but I would really like to thank Ms. Shane for setting that up and running a real class event. And I've gotten quite a bit of feedback from those commissioners, soon-to-be past commissioners, that they really appreciated that. I also met with County Council and a constituent on trying to resolve an issue on a previous court settlement between that constituent and the county. I also attended that evening the Chamber of Commerce mixer. On the 21st, I attended the Historical Preservation Society's Keeping Time event. It was pretty much an all-day event. Very informative. They're doing some really good things. And I enjoyed the event immensely. On the 22nd, in the morning, I attended, as is my practice, the farmers market downtown, a great social and market event. And later that afternoon, I attended the Habitat for Humanity fundraiser, the big fundraiser up the hill. And that's my report.
Thank you. District 4.
Yes, thank you. On the 20th, attended the Planning Commission luncheon. It was a good event. I do believe that people did appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate all the work that those commissioners have done over the years. It'll be interesting to see how busy our new Planning Commission becomes here in the near future. Also, on the 20th, I was able to take a tour of the new Sonora Bypass. It was very interesting to be up on top of that bridge looking down. It's higher when you're looking down than it is when you're looking up, it seems like. But
how could that be?
I don't know, but it just seems that way. But, you know, every indication is that maybe we'll have an early opening. If everything holds well. No promises, but it would be nice to see. On the 22nd, this must be Water Week, I attended an event in Groveland called the Sierra Eco Summit. And the major theme there was water. And what is interesting, listen to Supervisor Rotifer's comment about the tunnels that was discussed. And the environmental people that were there also disfavored the tunnel project immensely. And there was one speaker that I would like to get more information on and possibly address the board on the way that we use the water that we have now. It's all, we don't have any more or any less. It's just the way that we use it. And I thought that was an interesting concept. It hasn't changed. It's always been there. But we have a tendency to use it a little differently. On the same day, I attended a Rotary fundraiser out at Pine Lake Stables, and they allowed me to cook hamburgers and hot dogs, which was very fun, but very tiring.
Was environmental health there to inspect?
No, but I did wear gloves while I was cooking. I made sure everything was clean, and I think I passed the test.
All right, good.
I'm well trained. Also met with a number of constituents over some projects that are sort of moving forward on the 120 corridor, but have stalled a little bit, and listened to their concerns. The most important thing I did is I drove to Salem and spent 4 days with my grandson, and that was really good. It was only 61 degrees when I left Salem on Monday. It was 111 when I got to Reading. So the weather change is Very.
So warm weather follows you?
I think so. I'm just a hot guy.
Would you leave town?
I'm thinking about it. All right, that's my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Brennan.
Okay, so on June 20th, we had an Area 12 Agency on Aging meeting, and then also attended the lunch recognizing the commissioners, which was very well organized. That afternoon, I had a meeting at the senior center, and they've got hopefully some good projects in the works that will kind of be in conjunction with the library. And then attended the downtown chamber mixer. The 21st was at the morning session for Keeping Time, which again was really informative. We've got a lot of good historical projects countywide, and they're doing some good things. On the 22nd, I went to the Art Alliance open house. Was well attended. On the 23rd, I was on a panel discussion for FIT, which is Forestry Institute for Teachers, and that is one of the projects that the RAC funds, the Resource Advisory Council, and they had 45 teachers from statewide, and was very well received, great discussions, and then later in the week, those teachers actually did a number of activities out in the woods, and so they actually go out and do some water quality sampling, look at forest stands, look at healthy conditions, not such healthy conditions. Great program, and I'm glad that the county is actively participating in that. On the 26th, I attended the Tuolumne County Business Council luncheon with Steve Brink was the speaker with California Forest Commissions. Again, a good discussion about healthy forests, or the lack of healthy forests, and what we really need to be trying to do to get to healthy forests. Went to the customer service training on the 27th. Good job goes out to our staff. They make what could be kind of the customer service training could be kind of a dry topic, very entertaining, and so they do a great job. And then attended the Blue Mountain Minerals appreciation event in Columbia, where they took a bunch of folks to see the production of Oklahoma, which was fantastic, really nice. That's my report.
County Counsel's Office.
Let's see, on June 19th, the attorneys in our office met with CRA staff and discussed changes with potential changes to our code compliance ordinance, just in always monitoring it to see how to continue to streamline the process and make it cleaner and as painless a process as we can. On June 20th, I also went on the East Sonora Bypass tour. I did the morning tour, and I have to say, being on top of that bridge over Monoway is just, it's such
Is it higher from the top or from the bottom?
It depends. But it gives you a very different perspective of the county with some of the views that you can see from up there. So since that's going to be part of my commute when it finally opens, I look forward to having that view both coming and going. On June 26th, I attended a CEQA training in Sacramento. The presenters were extraordinarily experienced and knowledgeable, and I learned a number of picked up a lot of information that I'll be working with Bev to implement here in the county. And then on June 27th, the attorneys in our office met with Supervisor Brennan and had a good discussion over lunch about coordination. So that's my report.
Ms. Jamar.
Nothing to report.
Okay, well, District 2. Let's start with June 19th, the most important day of the year, bar none, 48th anniversary. So, how did I spend that day? I went to Sacramento to the RCRC board meeting. Very romantic it was. Probably the highlight of that meeting was that the 10:30 speaker, who actually was supposed to speak for 1 hour, went into lunch. And what he was doing was, he is a lawyer from Hastings School, and he gave us a class, one semester class, according to him, in an hour, and it turned out it was more like close to 2 hours, but it was Water 101. I got a copy of those slides. I believe I sent them to the entire board and the county council's office and a lot of the staff. Very, very educational. He volunteered to come back and teach Water 102, and he got a unanimous acceptance, and so I think the next RCRC meeting, board meeting, could have him back. And that was just really, really good. Water is a big issue everywhere. The next day, that evening, I did spend the evening with my bride celebrating, so it wasn't all RCRC. On Thursday, the 20th, I attended that same luncheon as all the rest of the supervisors. I thought that was a terrific event. Kudos to the Community Resources Agency for making that happen, and I appreciate the opportunity to be there. That evening, I did go to the chamber mixer, and that cost me a lot of money, as it did another supervisor. But we kept the money in Tuolumne County, right? Okay. On Friday, I attended the Keeping Time 6 event, and I have to say, this, I believe, is number 6, and that our historical people do a great job of presenting things. The tour of the is it Curtin Mansion? Unbelievable. If you get a chance to go see that, go see it. I probably shouldn't say this. I don't know why people do that, because it has to be a labor of love to take a historic building. You have to be dedicated. I believe it is a constant demand for maintenance, but they have done a magnificent job over there of restoring that building and the grounds. I just can't say enough about how good that was. In the late afternoon, I met with the DA's office, the sheriff's, Under Sheriff Lunny, Dr. Stolp, County Council, and CAO's office, discussing medical marijuana dispensaries in the county, and I believe the DA will be coming to us shortly to recommend action for us. On Saturday the 22nd, what a busy day. I went over to the Tuolumne County Arts Alliance event at the Dome. I visited the Master Gardeners event. I went to the Lions Barbecue. Then I went over to Railtown and saw the photo show, which that was the opening of the photo show. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's called In Train Sight. It is very nice, great photography, and they'll even sell it to you. I also went over to Interfaith to celebrate with them their 25 years in business over there, serving our community. Kathy Peacock and her team do a great job. Then I went to the Habitat for Humanity event up at the Houghtons, and I went to Pete Campa's wedding that day, and then I crashed. Sunday morning, I went to the Lions breakfast at the Senior Center. They did a great job, and then you got to be careful what you say, maybe, when you're out things. When I was in Alaska, someone asked me about my internet service, and I commented negatively about AT&T as an internet provider. It turns out I was sitting next to an AT&T executive, and so he called me. He took my complaint. AT&T customer service called me, listened to everything I had to say, and said, I can't help you. At which point I called the AT&T executive back and said, see, I told you so. You could do a good job in Tuolumne County and help us, but you got to want to do it. Tuesday the 25th, met with constituents early in the morning. Then I went and met with the sheriff and reviewed some of his things. Of major concern to me is, did you know that when the sheriff orders ammunition for his staff, It takes on the order of 8 months or longer for him to get it. He does not get priority. That is a little scary to me, since we depend on the sheriff to be there and our deputies to be there when we need them. Not that I want them out there being gunslingers or anything, but when there's a time for them to need a weapon, I want them to have ammunition for that too. Then I went over to attend a meeting with interested parties on water issues. After that, I went to the TUD board meeting, and following that, I met with Rocky Deal and several interested people with some initiatives that the congressman is wanting to start. I want to add, at that point, the congressman has written a letter supporting our request of Fish and Wildlife. I think most of you have seen that now. Fish and Wildlife to support our request for a hearing here and for an explanation of what it is they're going to do and the implications and ramifications of that. The congressman is also, and our staff is helping him set that meeting up now, arranging for a congressional hearing here in Sonora on August 6th. That coincides with the Board of Supervisors meeting, so we may have to adjust our schedule that day, because I believe the congressional hearing will be in the afternoon, dealing specifically with the toad issues. And as I understand it, there are like 5 congressmen who will be here participating in that hearing. On Wednesday the 26th, Tracy Riggs organized a countywide emergency drill on a mass casualty accident in our county, and was coordinated with the National FEMA organization. Very good exercise, and while it was largely paper, I have to tell you that our team in this county, all of the various agencies, CAL FIRE, the sheriff, CHP, schools, our ambulance crew, everybody was right there, and they were right on it, and I think they're all prepared to do the right things. The one thing that wasn't tested, which I think Tracy's planning to do, is where the infrastructure, the radios and things like that all hold up for that kind of activity, and so do that. On Thursday, I went to a class, a CSAC class in Sacramento on performance measurements and accountability for results. And my 12-year-old grandson just happened to show up in Sacramento, so I got him a tour of the Capitol. And the next day, I did water environmental studies on the South Fork of the American River, doing whitewater rafting with him. And but here's an interesting little thing. The company we're dealing with does this all over the world, and they told us there's only 2 rivers in California that are doing whitewater rafting right now because there isn't sufficient water to do it. And the South Fork of the American is one of them, because the dam up above Folsom releases something like 1,400 cubic feet per second in order to provide water to Folsom, and in fact, they can do it there. That was pretty interesting. Yesterday, I attended the JAC meeting, and I met with a constituent who is very concerned about airport issues, specifically Columbia, but airport issues in our county. I'll feed those back to Mr. Richardson as soon as he gets back. And then I also had a conversation during the last couple of weeks with Susan Skalski, who has returned from her, I won't call it sabbatical, but because that isn't exactly what it was, her temporary assignment. I think it was supposed to be 60 days. It turned out to be about 4 months in Vallejo. So she's back, and I think she's on holiday right now, but she's back, and so we'll be meeting with her soon. That's my report. Anybody got anything else to add? If not, let's go to the closed session items if we could. Would you please read those?
Closed session, conference with labor legal counsel, existing litigation, 1 case, Tuolumne County Citizens for Responsible Growth versus County of Tuolumne et al., Tuolumne County case number, Superior Court case number CV 58213, Authority Government Code Section 549569D1, and conference with labor negotiators Craig Pedro and Frem, Bill Morris, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, all bargaining units.
Okay. Is there any public comment on any of the closed session issues? If not, we will take a 10-minute break and go into closed session approximately 2:30, and we will report. I don't think, will we have anything to report out? I don't think we'll have anything to report out, but we will return. Thank you.
Because we have